control. This is more than a game. This is esports. This isn't about pride, ego, or popularity. This is grit. This is determination. This is passion. This is what it takes to win. The search for more control, more focus, more speed. This is more than a game. This is esports.
A year ago, if I ever thought I would represent Singapore in anything, the answer would be no. And then here I am today, being selected and given the chance to represent Singapore in SEA Games. I think it's a wonderful honor, and I look forward to it. I'm just afraid that I don't do up to the expectations and I let the country down, But of course, I'm going to work hard and make sure my team trains hard and we perform well.
Hi, ako nga pala si Carlito Ribo Jr. Ang IGN ko, Ribo. Player ako ng Team Cebol for Mobile Legends Bang. Before ako maging pro player sa Mobile Legends, dati akong karerista ng motor. Nung nakita akong mga tropa ko na naglalaro ng Mobile Legends, parang nagdalawang isip ako na pag-quit ako sa drag racing. Tapos tinry ko yung maging Mobile Legends naman. Tapos naging okay naman. Tapos nung nakakuha ako ng team, doon na, nag-quit na ako sa lahat ng ginagawa ko nung dati. Gagawa kami ng mga strategy, kami gagawa ng meta dito sa Philippines para ilaban namin sa buong Asia. Gagawin namin lahat para lang makuha namin yung gold medals para sa Philippines.
I'm Angelo Aylar Kanghel, IGN P, Team Captain of Cebol Mobile Legends Bang. Before ako maging pro player, college student ako sa RTU. Madalas lang ako naglalaro ng kung ano-anong games kasi yun talaga hilig ko. Nung nagsimula ako maging pro player, hindi pa masyadong supportive yung parents ko kasi syempre lahat naman ng parents gusto nag-aaral yung anak nila. Pero ngayon national team na sobrang proud nila sa akin. Nung napili ako sa SEA Games bilang representative ng Philippines, na-excite ako kasi ito yung unang medal event sa esports. Para sa mga player na bago lang dyan, ang ma-advise ko lang is huwag kayong mawawala ng tiwala lagi sa kampi nyo. Huwag nyo silang sisisihin lagi kasi bumababa yung confidence nila. Disiplina lang talaga kailangan.
Nama gue Christian Antonius, nickname gue Krypton. Gue kuliah di Venus University. Jurusan gue teknik industri. Harus punya skill dan mental yang kuat. Kalau secara tim harus punya chemistry dan juga kepercayaan terhadap tim tersebut. Yang pasti bangga dan senang banget karena banyak orang yang ingin sampai sana tapi tidak semuanya bisa sampai sana dan saya menjadi salah satunya. Untuk keluarga sih awalnya kurang terlalu support tapi dia tidak melarang juga dan makin lama dari waktu ke waktu mereka jadi sangat support banget terhadap apa yang gue lakuin di dunia e-sport karena gue udah bisa buktiin beberapa hal seperti juara IEL terus masuk salah satu tim besar di Indonesia meskipun cuma 5 bulan tapi menjadikan bukti kepada mereka bahwa e-sport itu sekarang sangat berkembang dan bisa dijadikan karir ke depan.
Esports has grown over the past couple of years to multi-million-dollar tournaments. It's the primary form of entertainment for the youth and millennials. When we first caught wind of the SEA Games, we realized that it was missing a major component and what we felt should be esports. We flew across to Philippines. We met up with Senator Cayetano and the rest of FISOC, and the rest is history. Esports, for the first time ever, is a medal sport in a major sporting event.
This is the first time esports is going to be included in the SEA Games. It's a huge thing. Like, we've been waiting for this for quite a long time actually.
It really shows how far esports has come. It's crazy to be on par with conventional sports.
I think esports today, this past year has been a turning point for the industry, and we're very proud to be part of this. The future of esports, I would say limitless and exciting. I'm just really passionate. I think there's a huge future in this, and we want to be part of that.
Your team is banning. Your team is banning. Your team is picking. Kufra. Your team is picking.
And here we are back with our continuing coverage of the 30th Southeast Asian Games. Already we are heading into the draft itself.
Kimi.
And, Kimi now
Your
being
team
banned
is
up.
picking.
Chang'e. Valor.
Your team is picking.
Lolita.
Your team is banning. Your team is banning. team is picking.
Hello and welcome back to our continuing coverage of the 30th Southeast Asian Games, and here we are diving straight into it. We are now going up in Malaysia versus Vietnam. And it's already the drafting phase.
Already the drafting phase. Indeed, we will be your shoutcasters for this match. I'm Kaysaya.
I'm Lestrado, and here we go. Already, all bands are now here.
Your team
Ready, very much ready to get into this. Vietnam looking for a comeback. Malaysia looking to secure their victory and get those 2 wins under their belt. As we know at the moment, all points matter, as we do not have many games actually in the series itself. But what an exciting time, because this is the first time that esports will be in the Southeast Asian Games.
Well, I think we saw a while ago in the draft on the second game of Team Vietnam and Team Malaysia that they have banned out a clause. So it is a respect ban for Team Malaysia, so that they won't be picking up the club. But instead, Team Malaysia, it seems like they opted for a double mage setup this time.
Very interesting setup that we're seeing here. Double mage still effective more or less all around. And it is a very early game composition when you have a double mage setup. That's generally what you want to happen and what you want to see. Early game dominance, early game victory, a lot of kills is what you want to see.
Well, we saw there a Valier. Most likely this is going to be a mage support for the lineup of Team Malaysia. We've been seeing that quite a while. And at the same time, if you know, well, a lot of things can happen actually. We know that this Valier is quite effective as being a support as well. But, you know, the plan of Team Malaysia, we have yet to know as they will build later on the itemization for this hero.
Yeah, so it is going to be Malaysia now looking to secure their victory. They do have quite a bit of an advantage here. The momentum is on their side. Vietnam, though, had a bit of a break. Maybe they had some time to talk amongst themselves, collect themselves, and perhaps we will then start to see really what they can do.
Well, we didn't see a while ago the overall lineup of both of the teams, but I can recall from when we have flashed the banning screen in the draft or the drafting screen a while ago. It looks like, you know, Team Malaysia this time wants to go for a really a composition that is good for clashes.
For clashes, for getting picks, maybe some skirmishes here and there. So they want to fight. They're ready. And we should be seeing a very exciting game on our hands very, very soon here.
Yeah, we'll just see later on if they will be able to execute the Avalier composition well, for as long as I think the stuns will connect, you know, and the AoE damage will be very much, you know, effective in terms of being placed on the right location. Whenever clashes happen, I think, you know, they will be able to execute that well. But I think we'll just have to basically rely on and take another look or review so that we can be able to, you know, see more things about the composition of what they have prepared in here.
Yeah, and more about the games itself. Very, very shortly after this game, we will be seeing StarCraft 2 taken on here. And then after that, we do have Hearthstone.
And of course, Mobile Legends Bang Bang to end the night later on today. But for the meantime, we have to take a look the main stage match of Vietnam versus Malaysia. Again, 1 point already is in the hands of Team Malaysia. It is up to them if they want to secure 2 points early on, as you know, as they start the day one of SEA Games 2019 for esports category.
Yeah, it's going to be a whole day at the moment of esports fans, an action for all of you fans right there for esports. So it is going to be such a treat to be able to do this, of course. And by the way, before we continue any further, I'll have a quick introduction of ourselves. My name is TRspod
And I'm Kaysaya.
Yeah, we're your casters here, and what an exciting time, because specifically we're just about to dive into the next game very, very soon. Malaysia in quite a significant lead at the moment, and Vietnam.
Do you think? Well, we haven't completely seen the draft a while ago because it was flashed very fast. But then again, I'm quite worried about the two majors composition of Team Malaysia. It could either make or break because these are two squishy targets.
Yeah, it's a double-edged
Yeah.
sword. That's the thing. When you run a double mage setup, you have to make it work. You have to secure your early game. You have to get kills. Otherwise, they'll be sharing farm until the late game, and double mage late game, not exactly the best thing.
Because especially if there is an assassin like a Hellcurt onto the side of Team Vietnam,
Yeah.
these two mages on the side of Malaysia will be the favorite food of this hero.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a feast all day long if that's what happens, especially if a Hellcurt or an assassin like maybe a Gushen comes out.
Yeah, even the Gushen.
Who
right,
knows?
right.
They'll be picking off mages left and right.
And just so you know, guys, the only hero that is currently auto-banned on this competition is 1-1. We know that this is a recently released marksman.
Yeah, and so it's too fresh to put straight into a competitive setting. Ling now is in. It's available, and as you see, it has already been banned.
A
So
while ago.
we'll see how that changes the meta itself. If any team want to pick it up, I assume they will, considering how good the hero is at the moment.
And well, anyway, a lot has changed since Mobile Legends Bang Bang came into the live servers of each, app stores.
Yeah.
I think it has been 3 years already. Well, since 2016.
Yeah, it hasn't been a long time, but already the craze, it has swept over the nation, nations rather, so to speak. It has been a journey, which has really been quite a sight to behold. The thing about Mobile Legends is that it's so great because you can just pick it up,
Right.
and anyone from anywhere can become a superstar.
And yeah, we know that there were MOBAs in PCs, but their developer was able to put up a MOBA in our phones.
And at the moment, we'll be taking a short break, but don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. Don't worry, this is still our continuing coverage of the 30th Southeast Asian Games. But when we do return, it's going to be the continuation of Vietnam versus Malaysia.
5 seconds till the enemy reaches the battlefield. Smash them! All troops deployed!
And here we are back straight into the game. We dive Malaysia versus Vietnam, Southeast Asian Games. It's going to be Mobile Legends Bang Bang again. I'm Estrado and joining me is Kaisaya. Let's go dive straight into it. Vietnam looking to score an equalizing victory here against Malaysia.
And as we can see in here, well, there's no casualties yet, but again, we probably can have a quick recap of the player lineup. We have here for Team Vietnam. Now we have Nguyen MH, Wen MH on this Smasha Farm on the KMA, but there you go. We can see the crab getting secured by Team Malaysia onto the bottom lane, but meanwhile onto the top lane, we can see in here a well-contested crab once more, and I think 2 crabs will be secured by Malaysia. Well, continuing the lineup, Fam on this X-Borg, Dean on the Esmeralda, Wen HD on this Lolita.
On the other side, you have on Cooper Abdullah right now sitting at that Chang-O Nurola. He's going to be on that Hayabusa. Hamsjin is going to be on that top. And last but not the least, Abdul Qadir is going to be on the
and I think
Valir.
we have a fight ongoing onto the middle lane. Just a little bit of poke coming from both sides. But look at the lead that Team Malaysia has at the moment. That is reflected, well, basically because of the 2 crabs that they have well secured onto the bot, as well as coming from the top.
Yeah, that's some items that definitely will, some gold will help them get items. Now, however, Vietnam looking to get some early gold themselves as they want to go for that turtle here.
A stun coming from Lolita. These are 2 tanks. I'm not too sure if they will continue on in a dangerous position, but coming to back up Abdul as well as Abdullah.
Yeah, turtle was not continued, so it will actually reset this time. Still, nobody has yet to take it.
So possession point that's onto the turtle side. I think a fight is ongoing right now. Getting stun is on in here. 2 members from the side of Team Vietnam going so low. 1 casualty. The first blood will go. Second blood as well on the side of Malaysia, but for an exchange for 1 kill from Vietnam. Fight's not yet gone. Farm's going so low. Look at that. Another kill coming from the side of Team Malaysia.
What a beautiful meteor shower right there coming from Abdullah. Really able to maximize the damage on that. You can see the health bars from Vietnam really taken away, but
oh, look at that
flicker
in.
Not able to get the kill. So close though. A little bit of a shield still left on. Will it be able to survive a little bit longer?
Malaysia getting that secure in the turtle, but we have a 1v fight ongoing onto the one lane part of that. Oh, that did not connect, but Nguyen MH will not be stopped on securing that kill onto the Nurola.
What a flicker, times it right beautifully. The shadow kill not effective at the moment, but still going down here for the side of Malaysia. Vietnam winning 1 in their favor, so now it's 3-2. So coming from earlier, Vietnam really know how to play the early game. It's just sort of mid-game where they have a problem, but look at this bouncing ball. Just gonna disengage.
Oh, disengage. I think Malaysia did actually steal that grab onto the top lane, so I think they are now continually snowballing at this almost 4-minute game time.
It is, I wouldn't say a complete snowball, but Malaysia have a solid lead at this point. No full-on team fights just yet, but I imagine we'll see it very, very soon.
Yeah, very soon, probably in just a matter of seconds, 60 seconds, the turtle's gonna go up. The second turtle's gonna go up anytime soon, but for the meantime, a vision from the tanks on, as well as when HD is being provided for both of the teams.
Now, bottom lane, this could be a dive. Meteor shower coming in. Masha having a little bit of trouble here. Going to go in, but it's going to be immune from damage. So it's going to go and fall though.
This is Malaysia. Objective gaming is really their name of the game. Now that we can see their overall lineup right now, I think Vietnam didn't even secure in here a really good, assassin to actually target these two mages onto the side of Malaysia.
I do like the Masha pick. It allows him to deal with the Hayabusa, who will be targeting the mages on the side of Vietnam. So that's one answer. I don't know if it will be, however, enough. But look at that damage coming from the Rolla, almost getting a kill so quickly. And this is what's scary when Hayabusa gets very, very fed like this.
Onto the middle lane, look at that, incoming, initiate, coming from on, but they will just basically disengage since, it was pretty under turret of tier 1.
Yeah.
In a tier 1 of Vietnam onto the main.
Under the tower, and especially because Lord is, sorry, not Lord, but rather the second turtle is about to come up here. They definitely want to contest for that turtle. I mean, it's a very early swing of gold and some power added to your team. You definitely want to be able to control that turtle very early on. We already saw one going into the favor of Malaysia. Maybe we'll see another one.
Well, let's talk about the lineup. What do you think about the lineup that Vietnam did? Because we saw in here that there is a 2 mages ready for 2 squishy mages onto the side of Malaysia. But I think they will Masha be enough?
I think Masha will definitely help if she can shut down the Hayabusa. Definitely, because the Hayabusa will be the one who wants to pick off those mages. I think so, but it's going to be very tough ask here. But let's dive straight into the game. We're ready to go into it.
There's still hope in here for Team Vietnam. They know, because as we can see, they're not really hesitant on engaging onto team fights, but I guess they have to be very careful on that. I think they have to choose which fights they will pick, especially if they're losing in terms of numbers. You really wouldn't want to engage, let's say, on a 2v3 clash if really on a disadvantage, at least in terms of farm.
Well, thing is, Masha has 3 health bars, but still, even with 3 health bars, it's still very risky to take multiple team fights. Turtle now is up though, and I think it could be a quick take for Malaysia.
Oh, look at that. Kimi doing so well onto the top lane. 3 members rotating towards and trying to take tier 2 turret. Has James all alone. Will try to make a defense, and it will be successful.
What a great defense here. I thought the tower is going to go down, but the thing is, Vietnam, they've already secured a pretty good advantage. Well, not advantage, I'd say, but they've secured themselves a decent position, especially coming from a defeat last game. We'll see if they can build that momentum and keep it going.
I think for as long as Vietnam is not letting the Kimi die, they still have a hope in here, especially to the mid to late game time.
You see, the thing with Kimi is that if you can keep her alive, and if you manage to just not have her not die, she's going to get fed no matter what. She's going to be able to take down turrets, melt them like they're butter, and basically melt the opposing team.
Right, especially, there's a lot of squishies on the side of Malaysia, and, just like what you've mentioned, melt like a butter. That is what Akimi can do.
Yeah, that's the thing with Kimi. If you let her get out of control, it doesn't matter what point in the game you are, she's going to be very, very strong.
Right, even early game time, right?
Even early game. But the thing is, there is enough dual damage, I think, later on, especially with the Hayabusa, to find that Kimi. It's all going to be a matter of who hits what shot, who plays better, and who rotates better.
Who rotates better. And I think Team Malaysia, although they got an early advantage right now, they have to be very careful on the Masha, especially if this roams around the map. There is a movement speed coming from this Masha, and at the same time, really good attack speed as well. So in terms of taking objectives, Masha is the name of the game.
Yeah, I think so as well. It's going to be quite balanced if I imagine correctly. The Masha will be able to split push, but the question is, it's very difficult to do a split push lineup, a split push composition, especially if you're going against a team who knows how to do it very well. But in the meantime, we'll take a short break. We'll come back, of course, and we'll resume the game in a minute. But don't go anywhere. We'll return with Malaysia versus Vietnam in just a second. now. We are back here. Malaysia versus Vietnam. Diving again straight back into it. And of course, already a little bit of a lead here for Malaysia. Vietnam still not too far away.
Yeah, Hamstring on a dangerous position right now. 4v1 situation, he will be gassed by Team Vietnam. Look at the HP bar going so low. Team will take the last hit. Unfortunately for Vietnam, they didn't have that minion wave that they wanted in order to push the tier 1 turret on the bottom lane. Instead, Malaysia will be able to take advantage of Vietnam's jungle camp onto the top. Look at that. Hayabusa even trying to take down the tier 2 turret onto the top lane.
Yeah, the thing is they're going to be able to push this. No problem if they take that trade. Malaysia will love to take this all day long. They've managed to take a tier 1 and a tier 2 one after the other. They give up turtle, sure, that's fine. They're not too worried about that. They give up a kill in the bottom lane, but what matters is objectives here for Malaysia. They want to play objectives.
Well, I like how Vietnam is catching up onto the team fights. Now they will engage onto the mid. Unfortunately, go on in here has a flicker available onto the back line. The Rolla trying to get a target. Unfortunately, damage is not yet enough. Luminum Blast will be casted, however, that won't take it back. However, one damage in here will fall down onto the hands of that chap.
What a great initiate, but a good counter initiate as well to follow. Gonna get a pick off. It's a 1-0 exchange. Still meteor shower now coming through. And look at this engage from On. He goes all the way in. He gets one kill right there. Last insanity coming out. It's gonna be Kadir looking for that, and it's gonna be Fab to take down that kill. It's gonna be Din now. He gets another one. It's gonna be a 2 for 2. Finally, it is Vietnam who chime back with a counterattack of their own.
Counter-attack on their own 5-5. That is our kill score right now, with Malaysia having a little bit of goal lead in a 1K spot. But look at that. Hayabusa is actually able to clear off the minion waves, not even joining the team fight that happened a while ago on the middle lane. I think this says something that at least Vietnam still has to be very careful that Malaysia also has the capability on doing a push work.
Yeah, they can push if they want to as well. So Malaysia, Vietnam, they're tit for tat at the moment. They do have pushing power on both of their sides. So we'll see how this plays out for them. 31 seconds until the next Lord here.
Oh, that doing a stretching, but I think they will just be poking each other in here, but on getting a lot of HP burned down on that.
Yeah, he'll be fine. He'll be able to walk it off. But what's important is who is going to contest this dragon here. This Lord.
There you go. The Lord is gonna go up 7 seconds from now.
Lord resurrecting soon.
Here, all of the ultimates is available for all members of each team. But look at what Hayabusa, as well as the Fox, is doing onto the top as well as onto the mid. It would have put a pressure. Masha not able to join a potential team fight that might happen, and actually doing a 1v1, just a little bit of both.
Yeah, and despite the fact that Gwen was able to get such a good engagement on, loses so much health on that attack. Just goes to show how strong Hayabusa is now in the middle lane. Bouncing ball, going to be committed, but going to be able to fall back, I think, here. No commitment from either squad.
They're finding the right target. HD is all alone in here. We'll be putting that shield up, and he will be able to back away.
Meteor shower is going to be used onto the minions, just to force them back.
It's just a waiting game for the meantime, as each of the teams try to find the best position that they can before they go all in onto a team fight. Meanwhile, the Lord is all up, and right now you can see in here all the tanks, the Lolita as well as the Cobra, just finding the good spot in where they can have a good vision to provide for their teammates.
Wow. No one trying to take a Lord just yet. Still a little bit tentative. Still trying to figure out if they can do it. Both mid lane towers still up. Bouncing ball going to be committed here. On's going to fall back.
On once more, getting a lot of HP drained down by the members of Vietnam in here. But I think this is what what the teams need, especially Malaysia right now, if they want to go fight. Oh, look at the damage! Oh, the Esmeralda is going online.
scary Esmeralda is what happens when you let her roam unchecked. That's potentially what we will see today.
Well, to mention, Dean on the side of Vietnam already has a 4-0 score.
Wow.
That is going to be very deadly in case, you know, the mages on the side of Malaysia gets caught.
Yeah, and picks up an Athena's shield this early on. Just goes to show that you can never have too much shield.
Oh, Dean in here.
Meteor shower here. It's going to be wet. Going to get the stun in. Now it's going to be trying to be fast. Trying to get some damage on his own as well. Tries to get the pull. But last insanity now going to be used up. But it's going to be used just to secure the tower in mid lane.
Wow. Now, Team Vietnam won the fight onto the middle lane and they're catching up. They're closing the gap that they currently have against Team Malaysia. I'm pretty sure that if Vietnam is able to consistently punish and put a pressure inside of Malaysia, look at that. Rolla going so low. Oh my goodness. Look at the damage just all alone from Masha.
Yeah, but at the moment, Nurola will be able to fall back. It's actually a bait switch as Lord will now be contested. This could be a very important Lord for both teams here, rather. Chango has to fall back. They could try to go for a reset, but Din looks to prime pressure.
They will be resetting the first Lord of the game, but Malaysia has a good vision at the moment in that area, wherein that'll be a, you know, a very quick objective just in case the Kimmy positions herself on that one. But look at that. What is happening?
Knock up. Not gonna be able to find anybody, but good idea there at the moment from that Kufra.
Now, as you can see, Hayabusa, I think he is in a dangerous position onto the top lane, but in the bottom lane part of the map, the rest of the members of each team are trying to do the dragon on the other part of the map. Look at what the Hayabusa is doing right now in 2v1 situation. Will he be able to survive? Unstoppable! But that is a 1-for-1 exchange just right in time. The Chango will join the fight.
Nurola able to come out of that with a kill despite the fact that he was in a really unfavorable situation. Still won that in the end, makes the trade worth it, but will that allow anybody to take the current Lord? I don't assume so.
Not yet. As we can see, Chang is on the top lane, and we don't have a marksman on to the side of Team Malaysia.
Yeah, remember that this is a ticking time bomb setup here. Two mages not going to be doing so well for the push. I mean, I suppose that's why you have the Hayabusa, but the Hayabusa would want to split, so it's very tough.
Very tough, knowing that there is also Nguyen when MH on the Masha being able to watch for the side lanes to, you know, to do the protection. But meanwhile, we have fight going on as well.
Now, oh, what a clash right here coming up from the bottom lane. It's going to be Vietnam going to be able to take down nobody at the moment, and it's a little bit anticlimactic as everybody just falls back.
Well, almost a tier 1 turret onto the middle lane, the Hayabusa. But with the presence of the Masha as well, he was able to make a defense onto the mid. Now, right now, we can say that Nurola is actually having a hard time, but meanwhile,
in the bottom mid lane, rather, bouncy ball coming out here. Bam has to fall back. Now it's happening to take a lot of damage. Retreat signal is going to be coming out, and Malaysia once again will just fall back.
No one, Illustrata, is actually able to take that Lord yet. This is almost 15-minute game time already. We know that Vietnam has a Kimmy, but I think Malaysia is doing a good job in terms of not allowing Vietnam to take that objective.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Lord is very important, but look at this engagement by On. It's actually beautiful now going in. Shadow kill. Beautiful stun coming up onto Din right now. That's the shadow kill finally committed. Gwen losing 1 bar. Now that's 2. That's the last one going down. On. Gets the final touch on her. That's going to be the meteor shower. Committed 2. Health taking away on the other side. The engage looking so strong here from Malaysia.
This is now a 4v5 situation. Vietnam is currently on God's spot unless a miracle happens. So I think a good decision by Team Vietnam to actually force that collapse did not happen.
I don't know. Here, Malaysia might be fighting on more than they can chew at the moment. The Lord Lord doing so much damage, and on, ooh, almost goes down, manages to survive.
Oh, the Lord, those, I think they will be resetting the Lord right now. Will they? In the meantime, everyone just backed off, and they thought that this is not the clash that we really want to happen. It's risky for both sides, but meanwhile, you know, as you can see, Kimi is now available, but the pressure is in once more coming from the side of Vietnam.
Oh, here comes Narola, might have put himself in an awkward position here. Oh, nice dance away, but he goes straight into the hands.
Is happening right now, but for the meantime, as you can see in here, the rest seems to be the bullets getting set up. One target in here, and MH going for Abdullah. However, Abdullah getting that shield on the other part of the map. You can see the Esmeralda securing a kill, and Malaysia getting a turret onto the B.
Now, it's going to be Hayabusa trying to do some work. We'll try to push that mid lane. He does secure that tower, but does lose control of the Lord. So now Vietnam have a chance to chime in.
Oh man, now finally I think Malaysia said, finally our Hayabusa able to go for a turret take, while the rest of the members of Vietnam having a 5v4 situation.
A little bit of a breath of sigh of relief, rather, and Vietnam finding themselves on the forefront of this match. Malaysia now on the back foot. Very much a far cry from the last match that we've seen. Definitely a lot better for Vietnam.
I think Vietnam has to reset this time. Now they're finding a good spot onto the middle lane. Really good vision provided by Wen HD on that Lolita. However, onto the side, Fam BM
has to fall back a tiny bit here. Does have Piraga armor, will keep him up, but the siege.
It's gonna be easy. Easy turret.
Should be a clean take.
Onto the bottom lane though, as you can see, pressured in that part is the Hayabusa.
This is a different Vietnam from what we've seen earlier. It seems like a repeat of the last game, actually. Now Lord, who gonna do so much damage to the top tower here, could go down.
It will definitely go down. The inhibitor turret has just fallen down onto the top lane. And onto the middle lane, they've lost him in a wave, but this is looking so well onto the bottom lane as Trim Minions is about to join the fight.
Yeah, Malaysia now, they're locked into their own base. What can they do? They have to find a really good engagement, but so many immortalities right here. Oh, that's a beautiful last insanity into the base here. Now that's going to be falling back from FamBM, but look at that Tyrant's Revenge! Tyrant's Rage, the beautiful combo right here from On. That's going to be the Numenor Blast, not going to land, but it's going to be a disengage.
I really like how Team Malaysia go over for it, but on the bottom lane part of the map. Meanwhile, Vietnam really wants to make it win after take down the inhibitor turret onto the middle lane. Now they're forced to back away as they took another objective. They said, okay, let's back away. This is fine. We took an objective onto the top as well as onto the mid. Meanwhile, we can see Kufra onto the top lane. What is he doing in there?
Yeah, now in a bad situation, but the meteor shower is so good, but the bulwark is even better from West. What a bulwark!
The damage coming from the Gimme as well. They really want to steal away this blue buff on the jungle club of Team Malaysia, who will get the last hit. Hamstring doing a good job. And actually zoning up the members of Team Malaysia.
Well done there. And the meteor shower again off cooldown right now. Last insanity. Beautiful winter crunch to be used. Abdullah has saved himself a little bit of time, and it's an outplay at the moment. Numenor Blast gonna get cancelled once more. Now it's Wen. Has to escape right here. Gets a stun onto On. Now it's gonna be Wen. Also on the side here, Fam. Looking to survive. Doesn't have Piraga armor.
This is not, as you can see, the tanks and supports of each teams are no harder to kill. And as we saw as well, Abdul Kadir onto the bottom lane, or rather onto the base of Team Malaysia, has to stay there because the minion waves are still looking so well in favor of Team Vietnam.
See, the thing is, at this point, it's very, very difficult to say who will win, because no matter what kind of advantage that you have, when you get to the late game, it's all up in the air. It's such a toss-up. Anything can happen.
And we know that late game time, it is more usually favorable when you have which is what Vietnam has. And they actually have snowballed already, having an advantage, a good advantage against what Malaysia has.
And look at the shield on Din right now. Very, very insanely high.
Insane in that they have a lot of shields, even the shields coming up from Lolita as well. Looking good in the minion wave. Onto the middle lane, they have to be very careful. Look at that, the roller! Taking so much damage coming from Mash.
Yeah, but here comes Fam BM, deep in the middle lane, just zoning out everybody. Gets stunned up for a second, and that's going to be a great meteor shower here. Not going to do all that damage. Doesn't even take off the Firaga armor. Abdullah severely lacking in damage here.
Look at that. They were able to still defend. The bottom lane part of the map, the roller just going in and out. They have to make sure, he has to make sure that once he goes in, he has the way out. Because if not, potentially he might get stunned by the Lolita.
Lord again now coming up here for Vietnam, and it's going to be a very crucial one. Malaysia need to steal this away, and it's just actually when who's going to go for it.
Gonna fight onto the top lane. Lots of shields incoming. Basically the team is just reheating onto the back line. Oh, no, Minablock's getting a setup in here. Team going so low, getting the shield away from the roll. It's dangerous spot. But the Lord has been taken already by Team Vietnam already, and everyone will try to back away and find a good reset before they go on to another fight.
Yeah, but look at the pressure that the minions are currently having on the side of the Malaysia. They're back into their base here. Now the Lord is going to be pushing down middle. This is going to be a crucial one. They have to take out this Lord, otherwise they will lose the game.
Oh no, what can Team Malaysia do? They need a really good damage in here and a focus fire onto the Lord. Anyway, I think this Lord is still squishy, so they still have a chance provided that. Oh, but they go for a fight.
Now it's going to be another chance here. It's going to be the bottom tower going down. It's going to be one more chance to survive here for Malaysia, but can they do it? It's going to be Wen on the bottom lane. So that's a lot of damage going on to Orange. Still has immortality up. That's going to be an ultimate from Kimmy. Not going to find a kill just yet.
No more turrets onto the side of Team Malaysia. They have to make a strong defense on this one, but what can they do? The minion waves are flowing towards the base of Team Malaysia already.
They can't find the decisive victory at the moment. They're still held up at base. What can they do? It's still a 5v5 situation going in right now. In with the still immortality. New middle blast going to be charged. Nice knock off. Tyrant's Revenge. Tyrant's Revenge. That's going to be the last insanity use. And now it's going to be Haunted falling back still alive.
And there you go. They're not yet done in there. Still a lot of members are alive on the side of Team Vietnam. No more casualties. More members on the side of Team Malaysia trying to save the damage. The Kim is just...
Oh, and Masha just goes for the base straight up. Vietnam coming back with a 1-1 victory.
Wow.
What a decisive victory. What a beautiful game from them, coming up in the last seconds, the last minutes, all the way at the end. 20 minutes game long.
Wow, man.
Wow.
That was an intense fight. We saw how dominant from game 1 Malaysia is, but this time Vietnam is saying something. They're proving something that they can show up a really good fight.
It is a point to be made that Vietnam is here to play. Malaysia coming off strong, but Vietnam responding as well with a great game of their own. It is it's going to be one heck of a tournament, I assure you this.
I assure you as well, guys. And this is so exciting. The matches that we've been seeing in coverage right now are just getting so intense. And I'm pretty sure this is going to happen on the other games that we will be showing up later on as well. StarCraft, Hearthstone, and Mobile Legends back.
Yeah. Well, if you are into all of those esports as well, make sure to tune in for those. History in the making, and what better way to celebrate it than one of the first esports ever. StarCraft will be played next. But going back to
what has happened,
Vietnam with a great victory, able to show us that they are here to play.
It was so intense, and I know a lot of more fights and intense match, very exciting match can happen.
Yeah, it was one of those games that you really couldn't tell who was going to win, who was going to pull ahead. A nail-biter through and through. The series, I really thought at the end of the first one that Malaysia was going to come into this, looked like a much stronger side. But after this, it was Vietnam. But
Yeah, even early game time, here we can see the highlights from the game. Malaysia was actually leading in early game time of this match, but when Vietnam took advantage of the Kimi that they had in their composition as well, even the Esmeralda, they went in for a 4-1 setup, abusing on the bottom lane where Sams was all alone.
we said this at the very beginning. You mentioned that Malaysia's lineup is a ticking time bomb. If they're not able to finish it early, it's going to be very, very difficult, with especially two mages.
Yeah, but there you go. We can see, connecting Illuminant Blast even just for one target. That'll do something.
Yeah, it was a good series of Numenal Blast here, finally landing at the end. Took a while, but Vietnam showed Malaysia this is how you do Numenal Blast.
Right,
getting
right.
a couple of them effective. Somewhere that Malaysia failed to do earlier on.
Right, and then this one, they really want to end the game as much as possible. We didn't even see, Masha focus firing on structures, on objectives, and wouldn't even join the team fights. And I think Vietnam is very consistent on the roles that they are assigned each members.
Yeah, it was a very, very good play all around. The play by Masha, that's when able to come up huge for his team, and only by the hair of their chin does Vietnam take a victory under their belt.
Many times we saw on, and there you go, when the Masha, even just focusing on to the base, and we saw a lot of plays on that second game between Malaysia and Vietnam, wherein on making use of the Kufra, basically not minding getting his HP bar into half, just to protect their members. But I think that kind of strategy is kind of risky sometimes, because your opponent can go all out on you once they saw that you have that half life.
Yeah, and it was actually a price to be paid, because a number of times we did see the Masha getting taken out, but Masha was able to turn things around later on in the game, getting pretty well equipped herself, getting all the farm that she needed. But again, congratulations to Malaysia taking that victory in the second game, but Malaysia also took the first one, so both these teams now taking a point for themselves here and going further ahead into the into the tournament rather.
Right, and still a lot of things can happen. Each of these countries will still have, a fight against all other countries, so you basically just have to tune in our coverage. There you go, we can see the highlights again, and
It was a game with a lot of highlights, honestly.
Yeah,
a lot of
same.
good plays here.
It was an almost 20-minute match, so no wonder why we have a lot.
Yeah, and some good outplays that we've seen all across. But in any case, it is unfortunate for us, but it is time for us to bid you adieu. It's been such a fun time here at the Southeast Asian Games here, the 30th Southeast Asian Games, but we now have to come to a close and bring it to StarCraft. So for one more time, we're about to sign off. Once again, my name is Illustrado.
And I am Kaysaya. We'll see you guys soon.
esports has grown over the past couple of years to multi-million-dollar tournaments. It's the primary form of entertainment for the youth and millennials. When we first caught wind of the SEA Games, we realized that it was missing a major component and what we felt should be esports. We flew across to Philippines. We met up with Senator Cayetano and the rest of FISOC, and the rest is history. Esports, for the first time ever, is a medal sport in a major sporting event.
This is the first time esports is going to be included in the SEA Games. It's a huge thing. Like, we've been waiting for this for quite a long time, actually.
It really shows how far esports has come. It's crazy to be on par with conventional sports.
I think esports today, I mean, this past year has been a turning point for the industry, and we're very proud to be part of this. The future of esports, I would say, limitless and exciting. I'm just really passionate. I think there's a huge future in this, and we want to be part of that.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we are making history. To be the first medal esports event in the world is a great promise.
Right now, we are having our the Southeast Asian Game Esports Test event. We did this so that we can conduct a simulation of what will happen on the actual SEA Games. So we're testing out everything in terms of the internet, the infrastructure, the league ops, the PCs, the networking, and also the streaming that will be used in the actual SEA Games.
Everyone's here to make sure that we have a really good presentation of esports come the Southeast Asian Games in December. Now, that's very important for esports because when we show them how successful we are in organizing this, we believe there will be more acceptance of esports, which would mean that even parents would understand that, hey, maybe there's a future, there's something after. We want a lot of young people to have brighter and bolder dreams. I mean, it's a new world, and who knows what comes next.
If any game deserves to be an esports title, it's got to be StarCraft 2. It's strategically speaking very in-depth. There's a lot of strategies, there's a lot of things you can do. Some people call it like a chess game on steroids. The StarCraft 2 community is quite compact, so you kind of know everyone. The other top two players are usually from the Philippines and Vietnam, so they've been always consistently doing well in the other tournaments as well. I'm going to just do the same thing I've always done to prepare for tournaments. Study a lot, practice a lot, and then just hope for the best.
So yun, finish ko yung pagiging Dota 2. Lahat ginawa ko para maging professional player. Siguro yung Dota kasi sa akin, sobrang importante kasi sa akin yun. Kung ako, sasabihin ko sa sarili ko na yung Dota is para siyang pagkain sa akin. Kumbaga, pag wala yung Dota, hindi ko mabubuhay yung sarili ko.
Jika kita dapat memenangkan turnamen ini, kita tentunya akan mendapatkan perhatian lebih dari tim-tim tier 1 Dota di dunia. Dan ini sangatlah bagus untuk karir-karir kita, player-player Dota Indonesia.
When I started playing was Taken 3 and I was like 7 years old back then. 18 years later, fast forward, it's actually selected as one of the games for SEA Games. I never thought that I would be given this opportunity to play in front of thousands and thousands of people.
The bootcamp really helped me get ready for the Southeast Asian Games 2019 because we had JDCR, which is one of the best Tekken players in the world, to train with us.
I was able to play with JDCR earlier. He told me a lot of tips and tricks and some things that I should not do. I'll take it as a lesson from him because he's obviously one of the best Tekken players in the world.
I got a opportunity to teach maybe new generation, young players. They got improved a lot. I'm happy to see that.
KO.
we're going to see some pretty exciting gameplay, and I'm looking forward to a really high level of competition.
There's a misconception of people thinking that esports is just playing games. It's actually not that simple. There's actually a lot of hard work to it. You have to grind hours, you have to practice over and over again. You have to spend a lot of time.
I feel nervous because I have never traveled overseas for a gaming tournament before. So this will be challenging, but also will be a good experience for me. I will practice really hard for this, and I want to perform and win the whole tournament.
Siguro sa tingin ko sa sarili ko, confident naman ako, pero hindi pa rin sapat yun na kailangan ko pahigitan yung mga ibang player na katulad ko. Lilipad kami ng Singapore para lang mag-training sa i-coach din ng mga international na player.
These guys are the Messis, the Ronaldos, the Lewis Hamiltons, if you were, of the esports world.
I still can't believe I get to actually see them in person.
We are making history because we're bringing all 5 different teams to really spar and be trained.
Pretty rigorous. It's pretty intensive.
An event like this is something really quite special.
Sup, I'm Thomas Kobankiewicz. I go by the handle of Lisk, and I play for Resurgence. I always felt like Singapore is already my home, and I always feel like I am a Singaporean. So the final push was definitely SEA Games. You know, why not? If I wanted to represent this country for real, let's do this. StarCraft as a game has taught me so much in life, as funny as it sounds. Meeting so many different people from everywhere, learning about myself, psychology, sports science, things through the game, ways to think about life, everything. From just a game, you can learn so much. I think it's really tough for C players to break the international barrier. Hopefully when there are more regional tournaments like this, generates more community interest, more people start to join, the talent pool increases, players start to practice more, and hopefully from there the skill level can rise to a point where we can start matching the international athletes.
This isn't about fame, fortune, or following. This is a calling. This is desire. This is obsession. This is what it takes to win. The search for more speed, focus, control. This is more than a game. This is esports. This isn't about pride, ego, or popularity. This is grit. This is determination. This is passion. This is what it takes to win. The search for more control, more focus, more speed. This is more than a game. This is esports.
Malaysia. Welcome back to the official esports event of the 30th Southeast Asian Games. For now, we will continue with our second match of the day with the first bout under the StarCraft 2 discipline. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Hong Phuc Tran from Vietnam. StarCraft 2 is a real-time strategy computer game developed and published by Blizzard Entertainment. Now, may we invite Hong Phuc Tran and Chachapon Chonthorn to shake hands to signal the start of this match. Thank you, Mr. Tran and Mr. Chanthorn. You may now proceed to your respective booths as we start this game for StarCraft 2.
Live at the 13th, yes, what is wrong with me? Southeast Asian Games, and yes, the game is StarCraft 2. But before all of that, we would like to introduce ourselves. My name is Asarai, one hell of a beast, and joining here with me now is Nomad.
Yeah, it's good to be here. This is a granddaddy of all esports. This is the reason why we have esports in the first place, and we are actually honored to be here casting this first game that is going to be broadcasted here at the Southeast Asian Games.
Yeah, I'm feeling very honored myself because StarCraft 2 has paved the way for a lot of esports titles to kind of, you know, show itself and develop. And without StarCraft 2, there won't be, you know, games such as Dota 2, Mobile Legends, Arena of Valor, Hearthstone, Tekken 7, maybe Tekken 7, but, you know, the MOBAs.
Completely different game. But,
completely different game.
But yeah, this is the reason why esports is what it is today. It all started in Korea, in South Korea, and it all, you know, for more than 20 years. It took 20 years before StarCraft can finally be part of the medal sport, and now we are here. Esports is now finally a medal sport, and we have the first match between Vietnam and Thailand here.
Yeah, so it's gonna be, again, Phuc Tran, also known as Mio Micah. If you guys, you know, have seen his first name, last name, and don't know who this juggernaut is from Vietnam, it is Mio Micah, a decorated StarCraft 2 player for a couple of years already. And up against, of course, the one from Thailand is Chanthorn Kachapon, also known as Vanilla Sky. So this is going to be a faded matchup. Mio Micah, super decorated, and, well, Chanthorn, not as much, not really much is known about him in terms of his, you know, recent history of competitive gaming.
Yeah, there's not a lot in terms of stats on Kachapon. It's more so on Tran because he has been competing at the highest level in Vietnamese StarCraft 2. He even faced off against a couple of other players that we have here at the Southeast Asian Games. More notably is the fact that he beat the Philippine representative Acampado 3-1 in the World Electronic Sports Games. And that is on its own a big feat because Acampado is actually one of the players in Southeast Asia that's considered one of the best in the region, but you know, he's been kind of off form right now. He is, of course, he represented from the Philippines, but right now we're going to be zeroing in on this matchup. It's going to be a Zerg versus Zerg, potentially Protoss, because Kachapon has been playing Zerg and Protoss for the past couple of games.
Yeah, so he has a nice mixture of races to use here. Typically, when you play StarCraft, there's actually 3 races that you can choose from. from Terran, TRspodC, which is the best race, mind you that, guys, and of course Zerg. I'm kidding. But yeah, you have 3 races to choose from, and normally players, especially on the highest tier of competitive gaming, only have 1 race to use because there is really a big, a big gap if you try to use multiple races, because you have to know the ins and outs of building the structures, the timings. There's so many things that you have to kind of keep track of when you're playing StarCraft 2, and why don't you kind of tell the viewers, Nomad, what StarCraft 2 is about?
Well, StarCraft 2 is basically you have to build the base against your opponent, and when you build a base, build an army, defeat your opponent. That's the bare bone minimums of what StarCraft is. But there are a lot of bigger things that you have to talk about. Just like what you said, there are 3 races in StarCraft, which is the Terran, one of the best races out there.
No.
TRspodC and Zerg. Each has their own strength and weaknesses here. For example, Terran is more of the harassment type of race, where one of the only ways for them to get ahead of their opponent is if they manage to harass the economy of their opponent. So they are going to do marine drops, marauder drops sometimes. Back then, when the Widowmine was still cloaked, that would be the common drops there. TRspodC, on the other hand, likes to be a mix of being a Terran and a Zerg at the same time, because they can mass out a good army. They're like the equilibrium here, so to speak.
Yeah.
They can mass out a huge army. They can also go for the aggressive pushes earlier on in the game, and they could build pretty much anywhere. On the other hand, Zerg, they are seriously one of the...
They're the Horde. They're the Swarm.
They're the Swarm. There's literally a strat called Zerg Rush, where they basically make a lot of Zerglings just rush their opponents from all sides. That's where the Zerg thrives. And yeah, if you master a race, you'll pretty much get an idea how the other races play. And it's really hard for a player that can play multiple races to go up against a person with one race, or the other way around, I mean.
Because again, imagine like you're using, a sword, and that's going to be like, what Tran is going to be from Vietnam. He only has a sword, while his opponent Cachapon will be using a sword and maybe a shield. You're not as used to like the mechanics of it. You can only use it one at a time, and it might be a little bit confusing for him. But again, it's more of like they had enough time from being told that you guys are going to be competing for our country in the SEA Games to right now. So they have had some preparation time, and definitely for Tran, he has had a good chunk of it from competing in that one tournament that we talked about way back, where the other competitors from StarCraft 2 have also joined, going into the international scene. And again, to Cachapon, who doesn't have as much of, again, recent matches that he's used. He's only had, matches against Terran, which is not what you're going to see mostly here in Southeast Asia.
Yeah, because we have a handful of Terran players here. We got 2 Terrans. That's going to be on Yap, represented from Malaysia, and on Lukman, which is going to be the representative from India. And we got 6 Zerg players and 4 TRspodC players. And honestly speaking, though, the map pool that we have right now for StarCraft 2, for this tournament specifically, is very Zerg-centric. So there's a lot of open spaces, a lot of room for the Zerg to actually macro out, build a lot of bases in order for them to get a good surface area all across the map. And it's going to be very hard for all the other races. It's still possible for TRspodC to win against the Zerg. It's still also possible for the Terran to win against the Zerg. But with the map that we have, it's going to be hard.
Yeah, you definitely have to have a set strategy that you kind of want to save up for this particular matchup, because again, there's an overwhelmingly amount of Zerg players in this particular iteration of the SEA Games. And yeah, speaking of the maps, we actually have a couple already, and I just want to list it all for those viewers out there who want to search it on the interweb or something. We have Ephemeron, Eternal Empire, Nightshade, Simulacrum, if you want to continue, no, Matt.
Simulacrum, Trident, Roll the Sleepers, and Zen. Those are the map pools that we have. And surprisingly, in competitive play, there are only a couple of maps that the players don't want to play on against, which is notably Eternal Empire, Nightshade, and if I'm not mistaken, it's also Zen. Most of the maps that we have here, Ephemeron and all the others, they're pretty standard. It's the basic of the basics of StarCraft, so to speak. It has wide open areas. It has jumps for the Reapers, for turrets.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's also relatively open. Not a lot of choke points, not a lot of high grounds to work with here. So it makes the Zerg really thrive in this map. For Protoss, on the other hand.
Yeah, for Protoss, on the other hand, I mean, it could be said the same as well, because Protoss, they love to kind of just play that, what we kind of call this as the Protoss death ball, where they just mix it up into just a clumped up group of units and push and just try to destroy everything in their path. And what's good about this is that again, this just allows, you know, for a lot more of a stronger positioning for the Protoss, because again, Protoss has units that can actually shield their teammates. They can shield the units, so it's easier for them to just be defensive.
Yeah, and again, Protoss is one of those, just like what you said, races that really will actually, I'm expecting to shine. But we are going to be going on a short break. But when we come back, Vietnam versus Thailand here at the 30th Southeast Asian Games.
And we have begun already, guys. This is it. A best of 3 for, again, the start of the Southeast Asia Games for StarCraft. Let's give a quick round out of our 2 players here. Of course, Phuc Mio Micah Tran from Vietnam, sporting, of course, the red Zerg.
And we have Chantorn Catchapon Vanilla Sky actually playing the Terran. That is pretty surprising. So, it is going to be a very standard opening here for the Terran players, going in for the barracks, easy wall up, but the Zerg here did get the proper scout earlier on while we weren't live yet. Again, trying to delay this SCV.
Or if we can actually snipe this could be good. But again, the SCV can actually go inside the structure if he tries to build it. Pretty random, but it does stop it. A little bit of a nice micro there coming out of Trent, and this is pretty big already, because again, one SCV at the start of the game is huge.
I mean, that is a couple of second delay, but in StarCraft, every second counts. Right now, his Reaper production is just about to start, but it is a bit too late. That just gave him a couple of gas floating around, and in StarCraft, you really don't want to float around in terms of your resources, because you have resources here, which is minerals and gas, and as much as possible, you want to always use your resources.
Yeah, and
we do have a Reaper.
If ever you want to keep a little bit of Reaper sources, that's only because you want to save up for like a big expansion or something here. But yeah, there is a nice amount of scouting there. It's really standard start here from Tran. He's just going to use his resources to get that natural expansion, and then I'm not sure what he's going to build up in terms of tech, but he is going for the Zergling speed already. He's going to be just trying to go aggressive and try to harass out his opponent. And of course, on the other side, it is the expansion for Catch Up On.
It might look like a 1-1-1 opening here for Catch Up On. It's going to be a barracks, a factory, and probably a starport following shortly after that, or maybe going in for 2 racks. Might go for a biomech composition here. But yeah, this is going to be the I believe that's the second Reaper out, and it's going to try to catch a couple people off guard. These group of Zerglings might turn into Banelings later on, but that will more than likely be used to harass the expansion here of Catch Up On.
Yeah, again, if you see your Terran opponent already build a second base, you might want to just, go immediately for the third base because you might have enough to do just that. Reaper, like you said, is already pumped out for Catch Up On here, which is trying to pierce in the base. And yet, you can see on the minimap to your bottom left, already a third expansion, a third base, almost up and running for Tran.
Yeah, that is going to be pretty standard for Zergs. They have to have one base, they have to be one base ahead of their opponents in order for them to be pretty good in terms of Zerg versus other races. But here comes the Zergling push. Going to try to go for that harassment. The heals are going to be there to deter this harassment from coming in. So good timing, actually, for the healings to come out.
Really good timing here from Catch Up On. You know that he's kind of just like timed this properly. He's had all of this in his head. And, if he doesn't have to do anything too drastic at this moment, he just has to be standard. If he can scout out his opponent, he can just go for, a really regularized build and then just try to build his army and do it, like you said, the Terran way, which is to either go biomech, go onto the land units with those medivac harassments, which, do you think this particular map is actually good for that? Ephemeron LE.
Yeah, it's going to be relatively good because the Helions move they move really fast on land, and they could actually just go in for a Helion drive-by, harass the mineral line, and we are going to be witnessing that right about now. There's going to be 1 drone down, 2 drones down. Just bad that he went for the third expo, but the second expo, the third base. Could have just went for the main, but that is no wall. The Zerglings are going to be able to make their way over to the middle line, but that can't be around here. That's going to be the pull to try to minimize the loss. That's a lot of Marines going down. Siege is not going to be sieged up. These Marines are pretty much online still. They're down.
This is really, really bad. The SCVs have gone off of taking those resources and immediately Catch Up On frantically tries to just push out these Zerglings. This is why you want to wall off against the Zerg. When those Zerglings have that Zerg speed, it's so easy for them to go for that drive-by, and you saw how many units was just lost in the kerfuffle of all of those tanks. Not really good, but now, finally, the wall off, but it seems like Catch Up On not really looking towards those Hellions, lose a couple through the Zerglings, which is not what you really want to see in in that particular matchup.
If anything, that was a good call from Catch Up On, just pulling the SCVs away, because any other StarCraft, any other Terran player for that matter, would just instead go for the surround on the Zerglings and hope to God that their Marines would be able to finish them off, use the workers, the SCVs, as a meat shield. But this is a lot of Zerglings posting up here just outside the base of Catch Up On.
This is not good. Catch Up On has to already see, he has another command center already there. It has to fly up. Yeah, he's doing it right now. Go on to the next expansion. But as you can see, there is a couple of that Zergling mob that we were just spotting, roaming around the map, trying to see if there's any shenanigans or maybe some cheesy expansions or something. But yeah, there's going to be Hellions here. Going to take a little bit. 4 drones. I wouldn't say that's a really big amount. He didn't line it up properly.
Yeah, I think he expended 3 Hellions or 4 Hellions there. It was really not a good call. But we got Hydralisks. Not Hydralisks. Mutalisks. Sorry about that. Mutalisks coming out as well as Roaches, predicting this mech build, because we do see 2 factories coming up here for Catch Up On, as well as potentially 2 starports, and we do have an armory coming up.
Yeah, the bad thing about this is he's building a lot more ground units. And again, StarCraft 2, it's kind of like your your super advanced game of rock, paper, scissors. If you have air units and you have ground units that can shoot air units, but air units can maneuver around it, you basically get screwed a little bit over because they can just go around it and try to outmaneuver as fast as possible. And you can see this great damage coming out from the Mutalisks.
Only siege up. That's not good for the Saren player, but hey, he managed to minimize the loss, but that's still a lot of siege tanks invested. Mutalisks are going to be able to freely harass this, especially this missile turret being built is not going to be finished just in time. Look at this SCV, and this might be GG. Actually, he's not mining from his expo. His main base is now going to be harassed.
Nidus
well with the roasters.
I didn't even saw that he built the Nidus. Oh, this is just really going to the wayside. Not the best at all. The Queens have come out, and this is pure domination from Tran. Oh my gosh, Vietnam is putting down the statement that in StarCraft, we are the victors, and there it is, the early GG.
That was a really good game from Tran. He was actually played it pretty standard, nothing too cheesy. Aside from that Nidus Canal, nobody expected that Nidus Worm, that Nidus Worm that just popped out of nowhere and just brought a lot of roaches, a lot of queens. That was a good diversion with the Mutalisk and the Zergling push as well.
That was like, I'm going to try to like slap your hand here, but then I have like an underhanded, another slap on it's like layers upon layers of just mindset or tactics from Tran that really allowed him to just do that. And honestly, there was a lot of issues that was kind of compounded upon with catch up on. First of all, that small gap that allowed the Zerglings to just mosey on through to the main base.
Yeah, he wasn't able to finish the wall off completely because typically that's going to be a supply depot coming up, but he wasn't building a supply depot yet, so there's no sense of a wall there. He could have placed one of the siege tanks there, probably sieged it up, but the siege tank came in really late, and that is all because of that one SCV that got knocked down. Slightly hampered the timing there for the barracks to be built, slightly hampered his timing really well, but it is what it is. And looking at this, one of the final pushes here, the siege tanks, I didn't like the siege in that area. Could have went for the high ground siege, but I guess he was too overcommitted with the Mutalisk trying to manage the siege rapidly coming in from Tran, but it is what it is. This Nidus push there.
Yeah, the thing is, when you're going to go up against a Zerg, you have to be either fast with trying to go for a command center expansion so that you have, the economy to challenge the Zerg. Because again, if the Zerg loses its army, the first army, right, you have what you call the larva mechanic for the Zerg, where they can immediately queue up a huge army to come out. They can even go for a low e-cost army or economy army like a Zerglings, and then just try to harass you again. And that is what makes Zerg so potent in this particular matchup. As a Terran, like you said, you have to be very quick in trying to get these multiple angles of attack, which Catchupon never really did.
Yeah, he started with a 1-1-1 opener, which is basically a barracks factory in the starport.
Yeah.
And then he immediately transitioned into 2 factories, 1 starport, and I think he was transitioning to a second starport there, and had 2 armories in, which basically means he was going to try to turtle up until he can get his hard-hitting mech units out, and that wasn't actually didn't actually work well for him. If you're going to try to go for the mech play as a Terran, you should always, against a Zerg, you should always be harassing your opponent so that that exact same scenario won't happen to you.
And again, one of the things that you have to always do in StarCraft is to be able to scout your opponent, which he did, which Catchupon did, but only at the very start. He didn't see, I don't believe he did see the spires come out, so no adjustment for the Mutalisk. You didn't see him build the paint shot turrets earlier on, and the anti-missile turrets, or the anti-air turrets rather.
The missile turret.
Yeah, the missile turrets. There you go. Earlier on, basically just free damage, and when Catchupon was just panicking, what do I do? He's pumping out these anti-air units. Here comes the Nidus Worm. We didn't scout it out. OMG. I just lost this game.
Well, we are going on to game number 2. That is going to be Tran, our Zerg player hailing from Thailand. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's going to be catch up on as Zerg Tran player.
Yeah, and of course from Vietnam, sporting as the red Zerg, it is Phuc, Mio Micah, Tran. So it seems like Cachapon or Chanthorn Cachapon is gonna just, still stick with the Terran.
Yeah, I think, Terran is locked in for him.
I would have liked to see the Protoss, man.
Yeah,
I would have liked to see it.
Didn't have much info going on for him, so we kind of expect the Zerg or the Protoss coming up, but this is pretty interesting though. An adjustment that we could see from Cachapon here is to go Bio. Actually, Biomech doesn't really have a huge effect against Zergs, but it's like the most basic build that you can go for that can work well against a Zerg.
Yeah, try it and test it.
Try to test it. Because you can go for a 1-1-1 opening, go for a barracks factory in the Starport. As soon as the Starport's finished, make a medevac, make a lot of Marines, and then try to go for the drops. And that, on its own, is enough to at least delay the push from the Zergs.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there, Nomad. I feel like there's a need for a bit more. There is already that Reaper out for Cachapon. He could use this to harass, but there is a really long way that he has to go through, and there's like around 4 Zerglings already out. Yeah, they're just going to be able to snipe out this SCV. I hope he can save this SCV. He can use this for resource management. Look at him just chase it, but yeah, movement speed is also a very big factor here, especially as the Zerg. If you can chase your opponent, you can surround them. If you can surround them, you can win.
Yeah, and we are going to be playing on Triton here. TVZ matchup in all competitive matches so far. The T's win 51.7% of the time compared to the Zergs here, which has a 48.3% win rate. So that may be something, but again, it still depends player to player here. And it looks like Tran is doing a very good job being the Zerg player.
Tran, he doesn't even want to create any units, just a couple of Zerglings there, already up to his 3rd expansion. Going into Triton is a little bit more of a farther map here. They're just going to decide to, both players are going to decide to just go for that expansion game.
And Tran actually has a 49.32% win rate against Terrans. So this might actually just boost up his win rate if he manages to get the 2-0, because then again, this is a best of 3 series. Reaper trying to scout out any additional info there. Spots out the spawning pool, which is pretty basic, but I believe he wasn't able to spot out the lair coming out.
He's trying to wall off the entrance to his expansion or his natural already. You can see there's a lot more respect coming out from Cachapon. He's saying like, yeah, you did this to me before during the previous game, I'm not going to happen it again. So got a couple of Zerglings, really good, but doesn't have any anti-air units. But he does have already that, in the old terms, Destiny Cloud just build the 1-1-1. He has a Viking coming out, which is going to be really good, because if Cachapon is able, or Chantor, I'm just going to call him Chantor, it does say right there, if he's able to use this Viking and snipe out these overlords that are coming out, he can actually supply block Tran if he's fast enough, which maybe he can.
Yeah, Vikings would be very well built here. Overlords are the supply depots here for the Zerg. They provide the supply as well as provide the information. Because the Overlord right there is going to be denied vision because of Cantor's.
So anyways, what supply basically means is that it's the army count. You can see it here on the bottom left side near the Thailand and the Vietnam markers. Aside from that, there's a huge Zerg push coming out here, and they're trying to frantically just repair these bunkers, or rather these engineering bays, and just try to stop the Zerglings from pouring over. A couple of Hellions will be coming back to base to provide that support and finally clean it up.
Oh, that's a good drop.
Oh, yeah.
That's a Zergling drop on the main as well. That's going to be catching 2 SCVs down. They're going to start finally to be pushed. That's a round on the SCVs would actually work against these Zerglings, but instead, he's going for a full pull. He only has a Reaper out, 1 Viking. That's the Overlord going to carry him away. now this Viking will be able to catch his Overlord down, and yeah, he'll be able to save a couple of Zerglings before he falls down.
But, I mean, Overlord and Zerglings, those are not well near enough that if you try to destroy them, they're so low cost that you can just spew them out and you can just make so much. He's not scouted at all. Oh no! The Wolf now is letting him down! Close the blind people! They come inside! What is happening? The Zerglings are inside! They're inside the main base, and this has turned into a horror alien movie. So many of the SCVs are dwindling down, and you can see that, well, Tran is going to be smiling right in front of his computer screen.
Man, he's not doing, I'm sorry to say this, but he's not doing a good job just defending against this Zergling push. If anything, it could have been prevented if he had siege tanks, or if he just scouted out, hey, he has 3 bases now. I think I'm going to need to catch up here. But then again, he's losing in terms of harassment. We haven't seen any solid harass coming in from catch up on. But look at this, though. A couple of Overlords.
And Mika, yeah, I know what you're saying. Go for it, man.
A couple of Overlords, a lot of Lings, and he is actually going for Hydras as well. Probably going to go for Lurker Tech if we see the Lurker lair coming up.
Not only that, there is already a 3rd expansion up for Tran. His few amount of Zergling Overlord drop has provided him enough leeway to get another base up ahead of Chanthorn, and that is never a good marker against the Zergling, because right now, in this particular phase of the game, he could basically have as much resources as possible, just keep tapping on that keyboard, make units, make upgrades, and now he has Hydralisks.
Yeah, Lings and Hydralisk. If he can get a good concave against these Marines... Oh no! Oh, this is bad! They're now, all the Marines are now down to 1 HP because of that hit, and this is not going to be looking good. We might see a GG coming up. The medevac is not even going to be enough to heal them in time, and this honestly might be GG. The SCVs are going to be full.
There it is, the hero SCVs.
Try to stop this from happening, but that's a lot of workers. But the only good thing that the Terran has here is that they can equalize because of the views that they have to the command center. But that siege tank is going to be able to stop this push for now, but he's down 8 SCVs.
Oh no. He still has the Hydralisk, and there's a lot more. He tries to go into the air. Hydralisk can hit onto air units. Oh yeah, this is just gonna be 15 SCVs already down. I mean, as the body bag just keeps counting more and more. He had to put the Viking onto ground unit to try to help out here, but it's not gonna be enough. And the swarm is here. He's trying to pump out. Chanthorn is trying to pump out as many Marines as possible. And can the Marines do it? A little bit of scouting here and there, but you can already see full saturation on the bases of Tran.
Not gonna lie here, this is pretty much a stop. The siege tanks are not even sieged up. Could have caught the Hydralisks there.
Still not over. You can see that Chanthorn isn't tapping out. He is trying to saturate these 3 bases that he has, but he has no units whatsoever. And can you see that production tab, no man? Can you see?
Ultralisk, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh.
Ultralisk is basically the granddaddy of them
Zerg
all, of the Zerg
Empire or army.
It's basically one big Zergling with huge tusks that hit people. Tusks or glaives?
I think tusks. Imagine a woolly mammoth where his tusks are sideways and can basically slice you like a scissor.
Yep.
That's an Ultralisk, and times 10 the size.
He deals AoE damage, so area effect damage. So if you have a bunch of Marines clumped up together, they're all gonna die.
Oh.
And we have 3 Ultralisks going in, circling in the Hydralisk push. We have 1 siege tank sieged up. Nothing.
Oh no.
That's not even a good concave for the Marines there. He can get pretty much overpowered there, and now they are going to be forced to back off. Siege tank not in a good spot. Is going to get is not going to get focused down instead.
But that is going to be the Ultralists. Now, the Ultralists, they're actually not being able to push through because the Hydralists are blocking them. But here they are, off the now goes the Ultralist. Oh my gosh, he's trying to micro the Marines as they try to just run away. But the Ultralists have so much HP. They're so tanky.
Look at the Marines that are coming out from the barracks. They're not even forced to go on to an attack. And that's going to be the DG. A clean 2-0 victory from Tran.
Wow. Fuck Tran, guys. So strong with his performance on that Zerg army. Just, you know, like 5-star cuisine right there.
It's basically on point because he didn't miss any times. He was able to out-harass a Terran player, which is something that shouldn't happen more often than not
Shouldn't
in a
happen
competitive game.
Yeah.
And he was able to pull off the Ultralisks.
I mean, he pulled it off in a sense that it was easy to pull it off because he was never really in an economic crisis. There was nothing coming out from the base of Chantor and Cachapon. He wasn't pumping out any Helions to harass the drone line, the mineral line of Tran here, and that just basically gave Tran all the necessary resources they need to pump out the big daddy-os, the Ultralisks.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, he was 3 or 4 bases ahead of our Terran player there. And really, Cachapon had it coming. He had a good start with a biomech composition, but he wasn't pumping up a lot of siege tanks. He just pumped up Marines. One siege tank came out, 2 medevacs, and that's basically it.
I mean, he tried to. There was a nice, you could say that there was a nice mindset there from Cachapon where he had the Viking out. I wish he had another Viking out, honestly, to try to catch out these overlords, because I feel like there was a lot more scouting done by Tran rather than Cachapon, and it really did mess up the vision that he had, so he really couldn't adjust. He didn't know when the Hydralists were coming. He didn't know that the Zerglings were just gonna push on through and try to squeeze into the base once again. It was just really a lack of information that led to Chantor and Cachapon losing this game, this series.
Yeah, that is going to be very impactful here, especially considering the fact that that is a game that Cachapon hasn't played for a long time.
True.
I'm pretty sure he was able to practice up, but he wasn't at the level that Tran was, basically. But that is going to be it for the first broadcast game here for StarCraft 2. That's going to be a Vietnamese win in the Southeast Asian Games. But yeah, what are your thoughts going into the next matchup? Yeah.
Honestly, what actually do we have for the next matchup? All right, guys. Anyways, I think that's about the time that we have for this moment. So we're going to cut to a break, and when we get back, it's going to be more StarCraft 2 action here at the 30th Southeast Asian Games. My name is Azurai, and joining here with me now,
Nomad. We'll see you after a short break.
Esports has grown over the past couple of years to multi-million-dollar tournaments. It's the primary form of entertainment for the youth and millennials. When we first caught wind of the SEA Games, we realized that it was missing a major component and what we felt should be esports. We flew across to Philippines. We met up with Senator Cayetano and the rest of FISOC, and the rest is history. Esports, for the first time ever, is a medal sport in a major sporting event.
this is the first time esports is going to be included in the SEA Games. It's a huge thing. Like, we've been waiting for this for quite a long time, actually.
It really shows how far esports has come. It's crazy to be on par with conventional sports.
I think esports today, this past year has been a turning point for the industry, and we're very proud to be part of this. The future of esports, I would say limitless and exciting. I'm just really passionate. I think there's a huge future in this, and we want to be part of that.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we are making history. To be the first medal esports event in the world is a great promise.
Right now, we are having our the Southeast Asian Game Esports test event. We did this so that we can conduct a simulation of what will happen on the actual SEA Games. So we're testing out everything in terms of the internet, the infrastructure, the league ops, the PCs, the networking, and also the streaming that will be used in the actual SEA Games.
Everyone's here to make sure that we have a really good presentation of esports come the Southeast Asian Games in December. Now, that's very important for esports because when we show them how successful we are in organizing this, we believe there will be more acceptance of esports, which would mean that even parents would understand that, hey, maybe there's a future, there's something after. We want a lot of young people to have brighter and bolder dreams. It's a new world, and who knows what comes next.
If any game deserves to be an esports title, it's got to be StarCraft 2. It's, strategically speaking, very in-depth. There's a lot of strategies, there's a lot of things you can do. Some people call it like a chess game on steroids. The StarCraft 2 community is quite compact, so you kind of know everyone. The other top two players are usually from the Philippines and Vietnam, so they've been always consistently doing well in the other tournaments as well. I'm going to just do the same thing I've always done to prepare for tournaments, study a lot, practice a lot, and then just hope for the best.
So yun, finish ko yung pagiging Dota 2. Lahat ginawa ko para maging professional player. Siguro yung Dota kasi sa akin, sobrang importante kasi sa akin yun. Kung ako sasabihin ko sa sarili ko na yung Dota is para siyang pagkain sa akin. Kumbaga, pag wala yung Dota, hindi ko mabubuhay yung sarili ko.
Jika kita dapat memenangkan turnamen ini, kita tentunya akan mendapatkan perhatian lebih dari tim-tim tier 1 Dota di dunia. Dan ini sangatlah bagus untuk karir-karir kita, player-player Dota Indonesia.
When I started playing was Taken 3 and I was like 7 years old back then. 18 years later, fast forward, it's actually selected as one of the games for SEA Games. I never thought that I would be given this opportunity to play in front of thousands and thousands of people.
The bootcamp really helped me get ready for the Southeast Asian Games 2019 because we had JDCR, which is one of the best Tekken players in the world, to train with us.
I was able to play with JDCR earlier. He told me a lot of tips and tricks and some things that I should not do. I'll take it as a lesson from him because he's obviously one of the best Tekken players in the world.
I got a opportunity to teach maybe new generation, young players. They got improved a lot. I'm happy to see that.
KO.
I think we're going to see some pretty exciting gameplay, and I'm looking forward to a really high level of competition.
There's a misconception of people thinking that esports is just playing games. It's actually not that simple. There's actually a lot of hard work to it. You have to grind hours, you have to practice over and over again. You have to spend a lot of time.
I feel nervous because I have never traveled overseas for a gaming tournament before. So this will be challenging, but also will be a good experience for me. I will practice really hard for this, and I want to perform and win the whole tournament.
Siguro sa tingin ko sa sarili ko, confident naman ako, pero hindi pa rin sapat yun na kailangan ko pahigitan yung mga ibang player na katulad ko. Lilipad kami ng Singapore para lang mag-training sa i-coach din ng mga international na player.
guys are the Messis, the Ronaldos, the Lewis Hamiltons, if you were, of the esports world.
I still can't believe I get to actually see them in person. We are making history because we're bringing all 5 different teams to really spar and be trained.
Pretty rigorous. It's pretty intensive.
An event like this is something really quite special. These guys are the elite, you know, when it comes to esports.
I've been a big fan of TRspods since like, 5 years ago, and I was absolutely delighted that they managed to make it to this year's internationals. They're one of the top 5 teams in the world. I'm pretty excited for them to be in Singapore.
We've been queuing here for a couple of hours already. I'm really excited to meet them.
I just want to come now and just take a look at their face in real life.
we love you!
These guys are the Messis, the Ronaldos, the Lewis Hamiltons, if you were, of the esports world.
Evil Geniuses is one of the top tier teams in the world, and they made millions of dollars.
I think 16 years old and have already earned $1 million when it comes to playing games is absolutely astonishing.
The Southeast Asian fans are definitely different than the others. There are actually just a lot more people that play Dota here.
Being a pro gamer, it's probably one of the more harder jobs, to be honest. It's gonna be a hard road, and you have to be like mentally ready for that.
It's a very humbling experience having so many fans, like even from another region, come and cheer for us, which is like super nice.
I still can't believe I get to actually see them in person. This is everything for me as a Dota fan.
Southeast Asia's best Dota 2 players have all come together to be put through their paces by the Evil Geniuses.
We are making history because we're bringing all 5 different teams to come to one single location to really spar and be trained.
Siguro, sobrang dami namin matututunan kasi next level na rin kasi yung team nila. Kaya siguro, malaking tulong sa amin mga player na maturuan din nila.
We had 2 games with Thailand. First game was pretty one-sided, but I think by the time we had the second game, it was actually a pretty close game. We're actually winning, but we're lacking some stuff here and there, so they actually won the second game too. So it was a 2-0.
And that's the thing about Dota, being proactive, always make them react. Never react yourself.
We have Bulba giving all his knowledge, give a lot of impact for us, because we don't have that tier 1 knowledge about it, so I think it's very helpful.
We get the experience, like the first-hand experience from like a top team, sharing information with us, giving out tips, coaching us, whatever that we don't really know yet.
Event ini sangatlah disiplin, karena disiplin itu sangatlah penting bagi atlet, terutama e-sport, supaya kita itu lebih fokus dalam pertandingan.
What people don't understand is how much discipline, how much practice we put into it. I used to live in Australia, and when I realized that I wanted to go pro for Dota, I quit my job and pretty much left my life behind in Australia. I had an amazing girlfriend. I had an amazing friend. I had many amazing friends. I was a very lucky man in Australia. But when I close my eyes and when I picture myself, walking on the main stage of TI, when I just picture myself hearing the crowds cheering, For Dota 2, for me, it just made me feel so alive, and I just want to get there.
Siguro yung pinaka, yung hirap na pinagdaanan ko, yung una sa lahat yung mawalay ka sa pamilya mo ng bata ka pa lang. Kasi 12 years old ako nung umalis ako sa bahay. Kaya sobrang laking hirap nun kasi una sa lahat, hindi ko alam kung saan ako titira, saan ako kukuha ng kakainin ko. Kaya yung mga kaibigan ko naman, sinama naman ako. Tapos may nanggampon din sa akin, tapos sagot lahat. Tapos ayun din yung nagpapalaro sa akin. Sagot niya lahat ng needs ko sa pagkain, sa pagdodota.
I'm just watching from their fog, clicking random heroes, looking at items, thinking what they should be doing, or thinking about what's happening as well, like what I see. The early game was pretty bad. The other team snowballed the game. I mean, it needs a lot. The other team just has better laners.
And this bootcamp scenario we have here is actually very different. Step by step, you have to do everything right, and it's pretty rigorous. It's pretty intensive.
They'll have to be prepared to take criticism, but when it's coming from someone who's been there, seen it all and done it all, then if you can't take that sort of criticism and learn from it, then perhaps you should be doing something else.
Yung pagko-coach ni Bulba sa amin is okay naman, sobrang legit. Legit yung mga tinuro niya sa amin, yung mga sinabi niya, mga sobrang small details pero laking tulong as a player tsaka sa team.
Sobrang importante yung mga nasabi niya about sa game.
Kita mendapatkan ilmu-ilmu baru dari cara bermainnya EG, terutama di laning stage. Terbukti pada saat kita scrim lawan Thailand, kita coba strateginya dan it works.
For our team, I think we are looking forward to playing Team Thailand. During the boot camp, they were the ones that are more outstanding. By the time of the second game, we actually got pretty close to winning them. So actually, I would like to have a rematch with them pretty soon.
The SEA Games will be intense, it will be some severe competition, and medals are up for grabs. Now it actually means something for these guys, and the experiences they've had here can only serve them well when we get to the SEA Games.
Hindi inaasahan pagtatapon ng mga...
Pada event ini kita mendapatkan beberapa pengalaman yang lucu dan unik. Having fun dengan teman-teman dari Philippines karena kita somehow bisa nyanyiin lagu Philippines.
To see someone who loves our song, it was so fun.
I like to be a Pinoy.
บางครั้งมันก็ดีที่ได้ออกมาเล่นข้างนอกได้พักจากการเล่นเกมแล้วก็ได้เล่นกับ
ถ้าพูดถึงบูตแคมป์ที่มาประสบการณ์ในครั้งนี้ก็คือรู้สึกว่ามันได้มีการประสบการณ์ให้กับน้องๆนะครับในทีมชาติไทยได้เข้ามาที่บูตแคมป์ของเรเซอร์แต่ในซีเกมเขาก็อาจจะเป็นคู่แข่งกันแต่ท้ายสุดก็มีเรื่องของเฟรนด์ชิพเรื่องของการเป็นเพื่อนเข้ามาก็ดีมากครับที่เขาได้เล่นบาสเกตบอลด้วยกัน
With SEA Games, it becomes a whole new different thing. You put yourself on the line, you put your team's pride, and obviously your country's honor on the line.
I'm not even there yet, but I'm already having goosebumps.
Kind of like what Bruce Lee says, you practice the same kick 1,000 times rather than doing 1,000 kicks one time. So that's my kind of practice regime.
Esports coming to the SEA Games means it's more moving into the mainstream now.
We wanted to go deep. We want to go deep into the community because there are a lot of hidden talent.
It's also an honor to be at this boot camp. also I got a chance, opportunity to teach maybe new generation, young players. I'm really happy to be here.
The bootcamp really helped me as a player to get ready for the Southeast Asian Games 2019 because we had JDCR, which is one of the best second players in the world, to train with us. I'm really grateful and appreciate the effort from TRspodC to bring JDCR to Philippines.
Untuk Razer dan juga Sintel untuk karena adanya mereka dapat terjadi acara ini sekarang ini untuk bootcamp ini, dan terima kasih untuk IJ khususnya untuk Bulba karena dengan adanya Bulba kita dapat mendapatkan coaching yang sangat baik yang dimana itu untuk SEA Games nanti, dan kita sangat bersemangat, sangat excited untuk nanti ya untuk SEA Games pada tahun ini.
This isn't about fame, fortune, or following. This is a calling. This is desire. This is obsession. This is what it takes to win. The search for more speed, focus, control. This is more than a game. This is esports. This isn't about pride, ego, or popularity. This is grit. This is determination. This is passion. This is what it takes to win. The search for more control, more focus, more speed. This is more than a game. This is esports.
As a fighting game community member, working with Razer has been such a great experience. We were working on arcade sticks for the longest time. We had the Aatrox, we had the Panthera, and then the Panthera Evo. But there was a segment of a controllers that we really didn't have, and that was the fighting game pad. The fight pad essentially is something that I think has a lot of potential, especially for newer fighting games. And seeing that there's a need for that into the market, I think Razer has finally stepped up and kind of met that demand. FightPad really gets the best of both worlds. In this particular product, you have the classic arcade style layout with the 6 buttons. You also have the tactile responsive D-pad, and just so much more and so much more care that goes above and beyond what you would have from your standard controller. And I think that's the beauty of the Ryan.
Good afternoon, Philippines, and good afternoon, Southeast Asia. Welcome back to the official esports event for the 30th Southeast Asian Games. Let's continue with our third match of the day with a second bout under the StarCraft 2 discipline. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Thomas Kolbankevich from Singapore. And from Malaysia, Jonathan Wong.
Miss Juan Carlos Pineda, also known as Wonder Drift.
You know what, Better Pineda, it's so wonderful to finally see StarCraft 2 as a medal event in the Southeast Asian Games. This is really the culmination of over 20 years of competitive spirit in esports. But you know what, enough about that. Can we talk a bit about our competitors right now?
Well, this matchup is going to be a Terran versus Protoss matchup. The players that we have is none other than Thomas Kolbankevich, who will be representing Singapore and who will be defending the planet Ire as he plays the Protoss race. His opponent is none other than Jonathan Wong Chun Hong, also known as Nefarious, our Terran player, the defender of humanity, and he's also going to be carrying the Malaysian flag.
Sounds good, sounds good. And judging from the statistics that we researched, it seems like Kolbankevich has around 58% win rate against the Terran race, but Wong, on the other hand, has a concerningly low of 21% win rate. So what are your thoughts in terms of our players?
Well, for the side of Jonathan Wong, this is definitely going to be like bragging rights for you. You need to prove your worth. Like 21.74% win rate against Protoss is very dismal because the average win rate for whatever race they're going up against is normally around from 49 to 50 plus. But at 21.74, this is certainly a time for him to redeem himself. I mean, he's currently living under the shadow of his other Malaysian counterpart, Mr. Ranger Yap. But of course, if he could get over his shadow and eventually show his worth against international competition, that's going to be a huge momentum boost at his side.
That is such a good point. If there's any place for you to prove yourselves in this game of StarCraft 2, it's this place right here, right now, in the Southeast Asian Games. And again, it's going to be very interesting. It's a Terran versus Protoss matchup. For a lot of our viewers here might not be familiar with StarCraft 2. StarCraft 2 is actually, as our previous caster said before, the grandfather of all esports, right? So it's divided into 3 races: the Terran, the Protoss, and the Zerg. We saw earlier the Terran versus the Zerg, and I guess we'll be seeing the 3rd race, which is what people claimed is the most overpowered race, Protoss. I don't believe that personally, but judging from our earlier games, I hope this one proves to be a bit more longer.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, of course, you got the technology upgrades from the Terrans as well as the Protoss. I mean, when you look at the Terrans, they love to, you know, envelop like the Ghosts as well, and these battle cruisers in the late game, and the Protoss as well, with the Tempest and the carriers, and then some high Templars. So it could potentially go all the way to the late game. And of course, we have this like mid-centric units that are actually capable of wreaking havoc all the way to the late game, such as like Widow Mines for the Terrans, and for the side of the Protoss, these Immortals are actually very beneficial against a Terran lineup.
A very good point about that late game. Actually, a patch was just released a couple of days ago, which changes significantly a lot of the things in the late game, including, I think, is one of the most interesting changes, which is the Battle Cruiser. Instead of it being able to go away, it's just going to get stunned. So in this matchup, especially as Terran versus Protoss, I think if we do get either Battle Cruiser Rush or into late game Battle Cruiser, it's going to play a very big part, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually a bit unlikely that we're going to see battle cruisers against Protoss, because there's a lot of Protoss units
they're
that
very easy to hit.
Yeah, are good against battle cruisers. Like, you can actually stop it in your early game with stalkers and sentries, but I know like one of the representatives in Indonesia actually love to deploy early game battle cruisers against Protoss, so it's possible.
It's very possible. Yeah,
We can see it here for Mr. Jonathan.
especially in the current lineup of our maps, right? Depending on what they can do. Oh, okay. For our more new viewers, StarCraft 2 compared to the other MOBA games is dependent also on the map. In other games like Mobile Legends or Dota, you have one map. But in StarCraft 2, we have a pool of maps that has different advantages and disadvantages, and that also plays into the part of your strategy. So again, these are the things that we also take into account. It's just like real war, right? I think both our players are also favored in terms of getting transports for their units. Can you tell me a bit more about that, Wonderdrift?
Well, of course, the maps are going to be very crucial without a doubt. Every professional player competing in StarCraft would have to analyze the choke points, would have to analyze the entrance areas for them to determine, like, is this a perfect place to go for a Reaper harassment? Is this a perfect place to go for Adepts or for Oracles and for drops as well? And of course, you have to take note that choke points are crucial because there are certain maps where the naturals or the expansions have so many open areas, meaning if there's like an opponent that loves to rush you and likes to invade your expansions, boom, your expansions might fall out anytime, especially if you don't know how to defend them. All right, so here we go. I mean, we're going to be going to the map itself, and here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The matchup itself is Terran versus Protoss. Here in our bottom left corner, we have Jonathan Wong representing as the blue Terran.
And actually on the other side of the map, we have our red Protoss, which is Kovan Kieve. Triton, interesting choice of maps.
Yep, indeed. And of course, that Cell Naga Tower in the middle is going to be an important cornerstone for this match because as much as possible, you need that visionary advantage. And both Protoss and Terran, they rely a lot on on other forms of scouting methods. They don't have like the creeps of the Zerg, which actually gives them an edge in terms of scouting. They have to rely a lot on that Cell Naga Tower right there.
That is true. The Cell Naga Tower provides a really good strategic advantage for both our players. Not just the Protoss, not just the Terran. However, it's not the only thing that they can do, but it could call it a nexus of strategy in terms of this map. But however, we can see that not a lot is on the map right now. This is very standard. See our Protoss players trying to harass and see what information he can glean for. Because again, StarCraft is all about war, and in war you have to know what your opponent is doing.
Yep.
Because in order for you to act, you know what G.I. Joe said, right? Knowing is half the battle. And speaking of which, we see that Protoss has already revealed their hand. They're going for an early expansion, which means they're not gonna plan on attacking anytime soon. They're not gonna commit too much on an army, which hopefully will translate into a longer game.
Yep, indeed. Of course, there's going to be like resource management with the first natural already being revealed by Kovan Kavich. However, now that the Terran is already understanding the tactics of Kovan Kavich, it's possible that Jonathan Wong might go for like these Reapers early on, just to put some pressure, just to halt the economy.
Sounds good.
But so
very
far,
annoying there.
Yeah, it's very annoying. But so far, okay, now there's the Reaper.
There's our baby boy. He's going to be attacking and trying to kill this very annoying probe. He did succeed, and now, at the very least, our Singapore player knows that there is a harass incoming anytime soon. And as the Reaper, they're not limited to having cliffs against their fate.
Yep,
Speaking of fate.
Yep, we have there that Adept as like a countermeasure. Also like a Reaper, like very good with early harassment. And Kovan Kavich is going to reveal it.
Meet in the middle of the map.
Yep,
there we go. He's trying to chase down the Reaper. Reaper has to go back. He has to ensure that his base is safe because I think this is the only unit for our Terran player right now. Okay, thankfully there is a bunker, but the Shade is going to come in. Nice out there. And now this Adept is just going to need to stay there. He doesn't need to even go out. He just needs to stay, deny the minerals from his Terran opponent, and just there's harass. You don't need to do permanent damage, but it's useful. but at the same time, you're not only keeping your opponent from getting his resources, but you're also keeping him from optimally getting his resources inside and attacking.
Yep, that's actually a very good strategy by Kovacevic. You have to make sure that you're able to halt down the economy of a Jonathan Wong, because Jonathan Wong is really known for aggressions, and as long as you're able to halt down his economy, chances are his aggressions are going to be very limited.
Wow. Okay, nice transition there. I believe this is pretty standard, but this is going to be very annoying for our Terran player, as he does have a bit of an investment in not too much anti-air.
Yep.
And he sees that his opponent has a lot of ground units, so he's not going to expect a transition to the air unit right now. Oh, Widow Mine. He's going to hit. Brings down one. Okay, these two are dead, but I think that's enough. I think that's enough for him, because now he knows that his opponent has invested into ground units, as I'm saying, and now the air unit is going to come in and be very, very annoying for his main, I think.
Yeah, but remember,
here we
he's
go.
got
Oh,
the Viking ready.
nice. Okay. Thankfully, the counter Viking is there. Both, again, our players have competed a lot in the previous months, so they do know the meta, and that means that they have some kind of, we call it star sense. You know, you have an idea on what your opponent is doing, even if you haven't seen anything. If you study them, you know their tendencies. And lucky scout there, he actually put that in on purpose to see if he's going to go for a third, which again means if you're building a lot of economic things like expansions, you're not going to be attacking anytime soon, because StarCraft 2 has a limited amount of resources you can gather at any point in time.
Exactly, of course. Those resources are going to be very limited, and you have to maximize it as well. Now, if you look at Jonathan Wong's strategy, I was expecting he was going to go all out, because I saw that in WSG. He's really going all brute force, Marines, followed after Reapers, after the rush with Reapers, or a Medevac, he's going to go for Marines and Siege tanks, and combining it with an army of SCVs to your opponent's base.
Oh, wow.
But I'm seeing the maturity now. Before, it was a bit questionable because you bring your workers to the battle, but now it's a more disciplined approach here by Jonathan Wong.
You know what? Historically, that kind of strategy has worked even in the upper echelons of StarCraft 2. Called him bit by bit prime. But thankfully, it's not as abundant as it was before. And both our players seem to be going for the mid-game right now. Nobody's committing to any large attacks. I'm just concerned about Wong not dropping his third at the moment, because the longer he does go without a third, the more money difference he will have compared to our Singaporean player, Philipines.
Yeah, I mean, so far it's been a very passive game for these two players, because I was expecting that when you're playing Terran, you're going to go hyper-aggressive. You're going to put a lot of pressure.
I love how he put that there. He knows that he's probably going to get harassed, but just in case he doesn't, his air units are ready to move out for a counter harass. And I think it's a very good moment in time. His timing is pretty good, because our Malaysian Terran is going out for an attack, which means he won't have a lot of units inside the base when this comes in. Okay.
Oh, look at this. Revelation already being used on those two Marines, so he's aware of Kovacevic. But remember, he's got a Raven, which is really good with those anti-armor missiles, and Graviton Beam on just one Marine. That's the revealed Marine.
Kind of sad, because he did pick up the Marine. However, he revealed that he does have Phoenixes, and now our Terran player will be able to make some counter strategies against that. And now he sees, lucky Rope there, sacrificing his life. Oh, here we go. He's going for the third.
Oh, here we go. A clash is going to happen. Here comes the Marines and the Marauders with those medevacs. But so far, those Widow Mines are actually intimidating.
Are they reloading? Okay. Nice spot there. If he did not spot it, those Widow Mines would have crushed that hard pretty easily. Thankfully.
Yep, here we go. Here comes the back and forth tactics here by Wong. Marine Marauders going a bit very defensive, and you have those anti-armor missiles indeed.
Does hit its own units, so he needs to keep those back. Those units will die easily. Speaking of dying easily, this Widow Mine is very cheeky right now. I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. There's a shield battery there, but right now the third of our Singaporean, Malaysian player rather, is being harassed. Widowman's coming in desperately trying to defend, but it looks like it's not going to be enough. As the Protoss picks it out, he's going to return back home safe and sound.
Yep, perfect use of the recall. But while he recalled, he did lose some units. And remember, his economy has been harassed by that Widowmine. So this is a weakness of Blisk that I noticed in WESG and even in the Australian tournaments. Like, he has this tendencies to go forward, but then he fails to realize, or he's very slow to realize that a counterattack is going to happen to him, which is what we've seen here from Jonathan Wong.
I believe that is part of what you need in StarCraft 2 to get better, because in StarCraft 2 you do have a fourth resource, which is attention.
Yeah.
And I think Blisk, our Singaporean player, is committing to a lot of his things. When he's attacking, he just wants to focus on attacking, but at the same time, he also needs to learn how to mind his base. And once he masters that, I think he's going to be one of the bigger threats to our players here. He's going to be a favorite to win this game, but only if he survives the next minute or so. Here's the drop.
This is signature Jonathan Wong made, and now he's going to go for the gateway of Soul. Can he actually destroy these Stalkers though? He actually got one Stalker Zealot coming in, and the Archon is actually blocked there, so he's not going to be able to attack forward. These Immortals are going to go down in front of those Marines and those Marauders, and now this Archon, finally he has space, but it could be too late, so the AoE damage of that Archon might be negated anytime. Here comes the Zealots charging on to the southern flank. Can this Marine Marauder composition survive? Remember, the sustainability from this medevacs are actually helping Jonathan Wong win this fight, and he's actually getting all of these Zealots out. He could go for more.
Yeah. Oh no, this is just too much damage to our Singaporean player. Oh, there's the counterattack and the Liberator in this third phase. Oh, I'm not sure how he's going to survive this.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a disaster here for the side of Covid Cavage. Now you have that Liberator there just distracting the other Protoss probes to come out.
Okay, what else can you get? The Liberators are in position. They're going to be wrecking, and evens are coming out there. And this only has a lot of melee units, which are going to be hit by those Liberators as soon as they get into
now
range.
Yep, right now, Covid Cavage, he desperately needs that Disruptor. And he's trying to get it ASAP, but so far the harassment has been really good here for the side of Jonathan Wong.
Pylon, goodbye. Gateway coming down. There's no way for him to reinforce his army at this moment, and it looks like this game is in danger of ending soon. However, there is a disruptor at the back end. Let's see if it can do anything at this point.
Yeah, and so far the movement against that Purification Nova has really been very beneficial here.
Oh, Liberators moving out. This is a very good position for our Terran player, and right now I think he's just finishing out this game, and we're just, I don't know, this is probably Coleman Kevin probably thinking about what could have done better.
Yep, indeed. I mean, this was really impressive here by Jonathan Wong.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting him to go all around like this. I was expecting, oh, he's going to go for a standard build, Marines, Banshees, tanks, but then all of a sudden he discovers Ravens, which is like, wow, this is something.
New technology. Oh, Ravens are pretty good, guys.
I mean, those anti-armor missiles has been very beneficial for the side of Jonathan Wong. Was able to like help the Marauders dish out some additional damage, and the micro skills by Jonathan Wong really good, avoiding the Purification Novas from those disruptors, even like helping his army survive amidst the barrage of these like Archons, Immortals. I'm impressed. I'm really saluting him right now.
I agree, because at the start of this game, we did see that he does have a 21% win rate. I think that information is now outdated.
Yep.
Because we just see him taking out Kovan Kevik on first game.
Yeah.
On his other side, though, the thing I noticed about Kovan Kevik is that he did not really engage in the best moment. I think we might see it here in the highlights. There's the comeback. Here we go. Instead of attacking right there, he should have waited for his Zealots who were running back. He's just losing a ton of units there. It's not the perfect concave. And with the ranged units of the Terran forces, with the Medivacs, it just proved to be much damage, which led into this kind of finishing move for our Malaysian player. You see, in StarCraft, you don't tend to attack when you're not in the best position, right?
Yeah,
I think that's how you do it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we've seen the best StarCraft players like Cyril, like he actually waits for the right moment to strike. Cyril, Raynor, the top 1 and number 2 respectively. I mean, they've shown that it's all about timing. Like, you know when to engage, you know when to not engage. Like, I remember those matches by Cyril when he sees a battle cruiser in his base. He's like, okay, fine, I'll just let my queens take over, and then when the infestors come, that's when the all-out assaults can happen. We just didn't see that from Cove and Cavage here.
I think he rushed a little bit too much on his engagement because, again, as you were saying, patience is a virtue in StarCraft. Just because you see your opponent's army in your base, it doesn't make it that you should attack. Like at the moment, you can wait. You can sacrifice a few buildings in exchange of not losing the game. Because when he attacked at that moment in the middle of the space of his base, which was a tiny corridor, all his units were trying to get into there because they can't reach it.
Yeah.
By the time that they were able to reach it, only 1 or 2 units were in range of his opponents.
Yeah.
Who can all reach that 2 units, right?
Yeah.
So that's, again, StarCraft 2 is a game of war. For anyone watching over here on TV, hello. Game of War is also dependent not just on your resources, but also on when you attack.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
when you defend.
Timing, execution has to be very perfect for you to be victorious in this battle. And of course, Cove and Cavage will definitely learn this lesson. Of course, with that disastrous Game 1 result. Of course, he still has games number 2 and 3 to redeem himself. And here we go, game number 2 of this best of 3 matchup. You have here Thomas Cove and Cavage, also known as Blisk, going to be playing as that blue Protoss here in this upper left corner of the map.
And on the other side, we do have our Red Terran who won the first game, Mr. Wong. Let's see what you can do on the second map. Now, our players picked Ephemeron in terms of map. And as I was saying earlier, in StarCraft 2, not only does your race account for your strategy, but also the map. And in Ephemeron, it's a huge map with a lot of open spaces, but those open spaces are divided by small bridges, as we're about to see right now as this probe is going. See, open space, small bridge. Now, what tends to happen on these kinds of spaces is that you will fight on those bridges because you're going to be defending. If you're like a good commander, you're going to defend with a good concave. And a concave means that your units are positioned in such a way that all of them will be firing at the same time, because things have ranges in StarCraft 2. And if you're crossing a bridge and your opponent is entrenched into his position, of course, you'll be caught. You'll be caught. And it's going to be a struggle for actually both our teams, because the only person or the only race who can utilize ignoring those kinds of restrictions is the Zerg race. They can hide us, they can just keep throwing units. But right now, again, Terran versus Protoss is not really built upon that, unless maybe they go air.
Yeah, possible. It could go air anytime, but of course, those choke points could be crucial, like Psionic Storms could, or Disruption Novas here could be very beneficial. Like if Jonathan Wong goes for like a massive ground-based army, then he's going to be exposed on those bridges. So he has to be careful. Positioning is actually going to be very crucial in Ephemeron. And we see this SCB. He's going to find the intel here.
Okay, he does see that there is an expansion up and running. Both of them are going for early expansion, which means that hopefully this game will not end too fast. But judging from the previous game, I think both our players are going to be a bit more patient, and they're going to wait for what their opponent is doing before they commit to anything solid. As we can see, a Reaper is coming out. This is very standard for both Terran and Protoss, actually. A Reaper and an Adept just trying to defend their stuff, not really committing into any specific deck as of yet. But for this map, I really do advise that someone go air, because it's going to be very amazing, especially with the new changes through both our races, right?
Yeah, I mean, Void Rays have that movement speed bonus.
Oh, I miss Void Ray so much.
Yeah, I mean, of course, they were no longer picked because their HP has been like reduced.
And we have the better Tempests. Why go Void Rays? So I think that's why Blizzard said, okay, help the Void Rays. Speaking of things, oh, nice wall in there. Barely getting that in before the supply depot came up. It's unfortunate that we won't be able to see any tech. But a good proof for our Terran player.
Yeah, I mean, Jonathan Wong, he used to make these mistakes where he was able to
hearing, okay, poor guy, no way he's going to survive this.
Yep, there's no difference. And the Adept wasn't able to make an impact in this in that harassment here. So it's a good defense here by Jonathan Wong, and now he's going to send his Reaper forward.
It is actually, I think it's just a wasted unit for Koban Quebec right now. Unfortunately, he does have a ton more resources compared to his opponent, so it's not really that much of an investment at this point. And he does proceed into getting warp gates, so he will be able to reinforce his stuff. On the other hand, is that a second factory I'm seeing from Wong?
It's possible. Yeah, he's
no, I think it's a barracks.
Oh, it's a Rax.
Okay, it's a Rax. He's gonna go for the Marine medevac strategy, I think, which has proven himself to be
useful against Protoss. I mean,
the term is useful, yes.
It's actually a standard build against Protoss when you're playing as Terran. Like you go for Marine, Marauder, medevacs, and then mix it up with Neck.
That's Terran 101, but sometimes all you need is Terran 101 to win, especially in, well, these kinds of games, because you can be fancy, especially if you're doing games in the ladder. You can do strategies that are really wonky, and some of our players playing today in the group stage have been known to have weird strategies, but sometimes, you know, you just do what works. And right now, what works is this Stalker blinking in and showing his hand too early. Now, at least Wong knows that there's blink in play, and it's going to be very dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, that's the purpose of that early cybernetic score. He was actually aiming to mass these Stalkers, and that's what happened.
Okay, here we go. Oh, he just canceled the bunker. Oh. Yep. Okay, number of Marines should be fine. Hopefully he won't have to sacrifice a ton of SCVs, but he needs to start repairing this command center very soon. Thankfully, there is a siege tank up there, but the observer is very dangerous because they can just blink up. All you need to do is blink up, blinking back. Very wise.
Okay, now that he has the Cyclone.
Oh, he's bringing in SCVs. Yo!
Now that's his main strategy.
Here we go. I guess we're going to see it today.
All right, so it's a lot. I mean, I've seen this strategy WSG, and right now it could potentially help anytime. You're able to get one unit out there, and now they could go for more. These Cyclones are going to be potentially devastating because they could go for the chase down. He has to protect those Cyclones, though.
No, man. Koban Quebec, don't engage without Zealots, please. Please. He has to engage here, though, because this is the last best place for him to engage, as long as his opponent doesn't have vision on top like that.
He has to protect his sentries, because if those sentries go down, then it's going to be a potential disaster here.
Those force fields and or guardian shield bunkers are going down. He's trying to make batteries. Wow, bunkers being very annoying for the positioning of our Protoss player, but it looks like he's doing enough damage. The Immortal is tanking a ton of siege tanks here. Unfortunately, the repositions are up, and they're just getting bombarded by everything. Wow, you're correct. The strategy is very annoying.
Yes, indeed. I mean, it's actually providing a distraction. These siege tanks are actually doing a lot of damage from long range.
Second Immortal coming back, and the shield batteries did their job a little bit. A ton more Stalkers are alive when they should not be. This is a pretty good position for him, but not for long, as ones that are coming in.
The bunker is up! Oh! The bunker's up, now he can go in anytime, and this would mean these gateways are going to be assaulted.
He did take down a siege tank, though, so he can engage. He just needs to recover his shield somehow. The second bunker is going to be a ton of damage if he doesn't stop it. He's target fire that. Okay, he manages to hold on for a bit. Disruptor coming in.
More SCVs are coming,
If he times this right. If he times this right, can he do it?
No! It actually hit siege tank, you need 2 disruption auras to destroy a siege
Okay,
tank.
out of siege tank, 2 suckers, and an immortal. Immortals are bad against Marines, and the SCVs are providing to be really, really good tanks in this engagement. And now, Kovankevich is on a backhand. His Nexus is being attacked. He's down 1 Warp Gate, and I don't know if this game will be going on very much longer.
Yep, indeed, and so far, this Boxer-esque strategy, shades of Boxer from StarCraft 1, with this bunker aggression here, is really helping Jonathan Wong. But it could be halted anytime, but there's a second bunker here. Just look at the range of these Marines just demolishing those gateways.
Okay, wow. Okay, the danger is starting to stabilize, I think. And Kovankevich does have a third, so he has a bit more money than his opponent would expect. And he's not being harassed on that third. So if he could hold on long enough, and I think he did,
yeah.
Now Wong has to go back, and he has to replenish his forces. And the game will blessedly go on longer.
Yeah, and take note that because of the fact that Kovankevich was able to defend that assault there by Jonathan Wong.
Here we go!
Marines are here going to assault this natural. Pros are going to run away. He has to keep this pressure because he doesn't have an army, so that would provide the distraction factor to make sure that a potential counter rush, which might happen right now because Kovankevich realizes that, okay, maybe this could be my opportunity to strike. I mean, he has a bigger army count compared to Jonathan Wong.
Honestly, I disagree. I think that Kovankevich needs to focus on getting his lead a lot farther, because he is up a base and he doesn't really have an army capable of taking on a couple of siege tanks. He does have a significant amount of zealots, but focus firing them using the blinking stalkers will need some more time for him to reinforce his army. Thankfully, he does have this observer in the base of his enemy, and he can see the setup of our Terran player. On the other hand, Wong is trying to see what else is happening by checking with the Marine.
Yep, indeed, and so far, that observer has been very important there on the side of Kovankevich, and you can see finally a ground upgrade in terms of like weaponry for the Protoss about to be unleashed. He desperately needs that, because if you want to destroy or humiliate these siege tanks ASAP, you need those coming up.
Okay, this is very scary. If we look at the number of units both our players have, it seems like our Protoss is up a couple. So if he does take a really good engagement, not like this, a better engagement than this, he might be able to win. Unfortunately, it seems Wong is not waiting for any time. Let's see. Wow, first Colossus up is going to do a ton of damage, and Wong is in position. However, it's not the best position for his siege tanks. He needs to keep them away from each other, and looks like he's not going to go. He should not go. No, Wong, please. It's too early. You saw the Colossi. You saw the Colossi. This is a good fun game for both our players to target firing. Unfortunately, no Vikings to support that, and the Colossi is just going to wreck the units. Siege tanks are coming in, but we do have a couple of Immortals to tank the damage, and there's the GG. Wow!
Kovankevich. Yeah, Kovankevich was able to win. I mean, that was a really good push there by Jonathan Wong, bringing in those SCVs, and it nearly helped him, claim the victory. But so far, the impact of that Colossus, was able to dish out a ton of damage, and then add the fact that those Zealots were actually destroying those SCVs instantly, meaning that there's no other front liner for Jonathan Wong. I mean, he doesn't have like the massive army count compared to Kovankevich when he actually went for that final push.
So yeah, I agree. The Colossus just arrived just in the nick of time when the Terran was pushing on.
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
let's look at the highlights here. This would have been over if he didn't have a third base.
Exactly.
Thankfully, he managed to hold on. And again, having just a bit more money than your opponent will win you games, as we saw.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really good strategy by Jonathan. I have to admit, this is shades of Boxer in StarCraft 1, going for this bunker rush, which is really impressive. And I thought he actually has the advantage here, but he went through, he overextended.
He should have just held on this position, given his siege tanks a better positioning against each other. See, that was okay. Unfortunately, his opponent just had too much, and he waited. You were right when you said that Wong should be harassing him.
Yeah.
Because this is what's going to happen if you don't continue your harassment. Your opponent is just going to outproduce you, and he's going to be able to take you out just by doing 1A, like all Protoss does.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why Jonathan Wong wasn't able to finish it because, you know, he's exerted a lot of his resources. I mean, because of the fact that he was actually aiming for the final push, the final stand at, he actually forgot, or he had no choice but to focus more entirely on that push without realizing the need of additional units there, and it actually punished him. And Kovankevich was able to capitalize on that mistake.
I agree 100%. And now, again, judging from our previous statistics, it seems like this game has gone to 50-50.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for the third game to go up. So, Terran versus Protoss, we're on game 3. Who do you think will win?
This is going to be tough, you know. I mean, I'm really amazed with Jonathan Wong's improvement compared to his previous matches. Blisk has still shown his flaws from the previous matches, which I think this Jonathan Wong could actually win. So it's possible that Wong could actually win this matchup against Kovankevich.
Really interesting. But for me, I gotta pick my man, Kovankevich. He has done very good in his performance so far. He did manage to win back his second game, but I'm picking him for a whole different reason.
Oh, well, let's see. I want to hear this again, you know.
You know what? Personally, I don't have a rig in this fight. I don't have a horse because I'm a Zerg and these are the inferior races. But
wow.
Just to give you guys a history lesson before, right? Blisk, Kovankevich had this interview and he was asked, which was the best girl? Out of all the answers that he could have given, he gave the right one.
Oh no.
Gave the right one.
Oh no.
Gave Ayu, which is the best girl. And that is why I'm gonna give it to him. I want Kovankevich to take this game, even though I detest the Protoss race. But I want him to win. Just for that. Go Kovankevich, win this game.
Alright, let's go Jonathan Wong. Win this game, of course. Defend humanity, protect the Terran race, which people think is actually like a not really fun race because they stick to the traditional tactics compared to the Protoss where they have this like sci-fi mixed with magic assault. But let's see, game number 3 of this matchup here in Simulacrum Room in the upper left corner of the map. It's Singapore's Thomas Blisk Kovankevich.
And on the other side of the map, as the blue Terran, we do have Jonathan Wong representing Malaysia.
Yep,
okay, so what do we have in Simulacrum, actually, in terms of map? It sort of resembles Daybreak, to be honest. And that means that there are winding roads that you can go around to reach your opponent's base, but on the middle to the late game, you can destroy something that's blocking them, like destructible rocks or something, and then you can just go straight. So it's going to be up to you or your opponent if they want to go straight to your base by destroying blockages, or they want to go around and take the long way. Because even if you do destroy whatever is in the middle, your opponent might be able to just see you that much quicker. So sometimes side corridors, they're the better decision.
Yep, indeed. And so far, this map actually is more focused on expanding your bases on the northern side. If you're in the bottom right corner of the map, or if you're in the top left corner of the map, you're going to expand all the way downward. So that's going to be like a preferable option for these two
we're
players.
Dividing the map, right? Left and right.
Yep.
Okay, that's great. Interesting positioning for the buildings here. I wonder why. I think I know. I think he's gonna do some mind games. Look at the positioning of the gateways for our Singapore player. He's hidden, and the moment that Wong scouts the Protoss base, he's gonna wonder, where are those buildings?
Yeah,
where are those buildings?
Yeah, I mean, Thomas Kovankevich has actually done that all throughout this series, just hiding these gateways, providing the mind tactics, and it's really a very intelligent plan. Like, it could actually potentially surprise Wong, but Wong has shown he is not intimidated or rattled by any form of aggression or potential aggression that Kovankevich could actually deliver upon to him.
That is actually true, if I remember the two games. I guess we'll see. Most of our players are going for a pretty standard build as they have in the previous games. Oracle will be coming in to harass, and both of them have gone for an expansion, so no one's going in with a weird build today, at least not yet. Gateways are going to be coming up. And in terms of supply, it looks like, Movement Kevin is up just by 10 supply. It's really not. Oh, wow. Nice timing there for
the Cyclone.
Cyclone, wow. Wong. Very well. That was really well timed.
Yeah, Wong was able to defend his bases since game number 1 really efficiently. He was able to prepare his Viking against the Oracle in game number 1. He was able to shut down these Adepts in game number 2. So it's expected that he could potentially slow down Kovancevic's aggression. And Kovancevich is not really good with his Adepts and Oracles as I've seen in his previous games. So it could be like maybe because the lack of like major aggression or he's actually going for it. But of course the defensive supply depots have been really beneficial.
Does pick out 4 SCV, pretty good. Not sure if it's worth the sacrifice of 2 Adepts.
Yeah.
I think it's a moot point at this moment because not only is there's the other okay, he just hit the face with an Oracle. That's very, very devastating for our player here. I like that he did distract him with the Adepts, so without getting to it. All he needs to do is have enough energy to bring up this Cyclone. Unfortunately, he doesn't have one, so he has to go back and does lose that Oracle.
Yep. And it's possible that Jonathan Wong might even, put in these Widow Mines all the way to his base because he needs these defenses. It's looking like Kovancevich is going to go for this all-out aggression with his Phoenixes and with these Oracles. I mean, the Pulsar beams are going to be devastating. The Graviton beams as well could be the doom of all these SCVs. And as much as possible, you want to protect your economy if you're Jonathan Wong.
I do agree with the Widow Mine strategy. It's going to take a lot of things out of your mind once you have a couple of them in your mineral line. Unfortunately, I don't think he's producing any at the moment. These Phoenix are going to be very, very annoying real quick. As we can see, let's see what kind of things can he pull off. I guess he's trying to get... he's securing his third. What happened to that Nexus? It got cancelled. I saw one building earlier.
Yeah, I mean, well, of course, I guess he's trying to mass expand his units.
I can see him building 5 gateways, so he is going to go for a more aggressive build this game.
Yeah, I mean... Wow. It could actually work out well because so far his harassment has actually stalled the economy of Jonathan Wong. He's not able to put his SCVs out of his first natural, so it could be that, okay, we're going to see what the Phoenixes are going to do. They're already assaulting the main base, and it's going to force the Cyclones and Marines to respond. But
that's very scary, though. He does have a Raven, so if the Phoenixes are in a bad spot, they can also get hit with the anti-armor missile and get picked out with the Marine, so he has to be very, very careful on how he handles these.
Oh no, look at that. That's just too much for those SCVs. Marines are there, however, Cyclone already with that lock on one of those Phoenixes. One of them goes down, but right now you have these steel packs going to be researched and a +1 in terms of like the Marine damage outburst. He desperately needs that. But Psystorm already, and we're going to see High Templars here. Okay, this is Bliss, his signature unit. He loves these Psystorms, these High Templars. That actually helped him win games a lot.
Whoa. Okay, alright. I guess we're going to the mid to late game. It's going to be exciting because I haven't seen, Kovancevich use those Psystorms before. And if Wong is going to continue with his investment on Marines, this is going to be very deadly for our Terran player.
So far, that's a scouting Marine already being killed, so now he knows that High Templars are going to be involved in the battlefield. So it's possible that Jonathan Wong could build ghosts just to counter these High Templars.
EMPs. You know what? One of my favorite changes in StarCraft recently was High Templar gaining an actual attack. It was done so that they won't go in front, but I really love that, they can just shoot stuff now. It's pretty good. And it's going to keep them back, and it's going to force our Terran player, if he does have those ghosts, to position them better so that he can do the EMP. And EMP, what it does is it damages your shields and takes away your energy, which is very important for both Protoss because it's their lifeline and their ability of the High Templar. But right now, he doesn't have a ghost, so this is going to be good for our Protoss player.
The Psionic Storm is already available, meaning meaning if those Psionic Storms go hit a perfect target, it could be detrimental here for Jonathan Wong. More of them are coming. Now they're going to go for Archons.
He's going to be going for the third base. Siege tanks are up. Oh, he's getting fired at there. He needs to go back. Those 3 siege tanks are going to damage his army a lot more than he expected.
Yep.
So he needs to pull back. He doesn't need to attack right now. Again, as we were saying earlier, patience is a virtue in StarCraft 2.
Yep, and right now he's already built a Ghost Academy, meaning ghosts are going to be available in this matchup. EMP is already going to be researched, and it's possible that maybe nuclear missiles are going to be unleashed here.
I would love that. I would love to see nuclear missiles here. Oh, okay. And this harass is really not working out for Kevin. On the other hand, the main base is doing a bit more damage. He does take out 4 SCVs for what? 8 Zealots? Not bad if you're just trying to get rid of extra supply.
Yep, indeed. That's actually very good harassment
there.
That? Oh,
okay. Interesting.
Right. I mean, we talked about Ghosts earlier, and I feel like that's a unit which could potentially bode well against Govinkevich, because we did mention that his multitasking on when he goes on the offensive, and then all of a sudden his base is going to get assaulted. It could actually work out well for Jonathan Wong if he could land a perfect nuclear launch in one of those bases. That would be so good.
It's actually very good because right now for our Protoss player Govinkevich, Zealots don't really cost all that much. He has a surplus of minerals, so you can just keep throwing them away. On the other hand, our Terran player Wong, he's running out of resources. He hasn't expanded into a 4th base, so he really needs to tighten up that macro because his army is not going to be as big as his opponent. But as I say that, they're really close in terms of supply. 137 to 133.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't like Heart of the Swarm where you only have like 5 SCVs collecting like minerals, and it will oftentimes take a long time for these minerals to get depleted. I mean, right now, resources is actually very crucial nowadays in StarCraft, and you see a late blink upgrade or research here on the side of Govinkevich, and he's going to go for thermal lances, so that's going to make these Colossi devastating.
Honestly, I don't like this for Govinkevich. Yeah, his opponent is going for ghosts, and his army right now is going to be the Protoss, the traditional 100% StarCraft 2 since the start death ball meta, right?
Yeah.
And if his units are all bunched up together, what's going to happen when there's a ghost in the neighborhood?
Yeah, I mean, remember, not only ghosts, there are also siege tanks as well. So that death ball lineup could actually bode out bad for him. And Wong is actually pretty decent at like separating his army, which we have seen in games number 1 and 2.
That's true.
So these thermal lances, I mean, it may actually work out well, but let's see how this clash is going to happen.
Well, here we go. Beginning of the clash, right area in the middle, getting scanned. Oh, nice lift.
This is
okay. Now the tables of 30 does have a couple of siege tanks at the back, but these Colossi are going to make quick work of it. Nice anti-armor plus the storm. Oh, it's just not going to be enough. Oh my god, that is such an unfortunate way to end the game, but congratulations to Govinkevich.
I mean, of course, it was actually looking pretty even 50-50 for these two players.
Yes,
but then
it did.
The positioning there of those siege tanks was just, it wasn't really good. I mean, those Phoenix beams were just, the graviton beams were just sniping all those tanks.
If that did not happen, that engagement would have happened so differently. It was a bad timing that they were going out, and maybe Wong was looking at another part of the map, because in StarCraft 2, you're managing your whole base, not just the army. So he probably has his attention somewhere. It does happen. And his opponent just took advantage of that fact, and now it cost him the game. Let's check the highlights.
Oh man, that was really that was really devastating for a Wong to suffer those losses. I mean, he actually built a sizable army. It's actually decent enough. You could actually, if he has a good micro, oh my god.
He tried to pull them back. Unfortunately, they were just too far out, and they got picked. Really good views of those Phoenixes. And now that was just a cleanup.
Oh my god.
Honestly, the ghosts were not even a factor in this engagement.
Yeah.
But again, good competition for Wong. He is not out of the tournament yet. This is the group stage, and we will be getting top 2 per bracket, I believe.
Top 4.
Top 4 per bracket. So it could still move on, and we could still see him in the playoffs sometime this week, right?
Yeah, I mean, certainly I did like his improvements in game number 1, and I'm hoping he could actually pull through and actually silence his critics that he's not really good against TRspodC, or the fact that he's living under the shadow of Ranger. Yeah, but he's actually showing signs here, and I'm really hoping that he could actually go further forward. But for the side of Thomas Kovankevich, wow, I mean, it's a really perfect setup without a doubt. He was able to remain calm and composed, especially in game number 2 when he received a lot of pressure from Wong.
I really love the way he handled that. But again, I think that's it for us for now. So I hope you guys enjoyed our stint in StarCraft 2. But for now, congratulations to Kovankevich. You made a good choice, and now you get to go into the bracket.
Yep.
So for us, from here, this is Arcanthiel.
And my name is Juan Carlos Pineda, also known as Wonderdrift. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back for more coverage of the Southeast Asian Games on the esports scene.
See you guys.
As a fighting game community member, working with Razer has been such a great experience. We were working on arcade sticks for the longest time. We had the Aatrox, we had the Panthera, and then the Panthera Evo. But there was a segment of a controller that we really didn't have, and that was the fighting game pad. The fight pad essentially is something that I think has a lot of potential, especially for newer fighting games. And seeing that there's a need for that in the market, I think Razer has finally stepped up and kind of met that demand. Fight pad really gets the best of both worlds. In this particular product, you have the classic arcade style layout with the 6 buttons. You also have the tactile responsive D-pad, and just so much more and so much more care that goes above and beyond what you would have from your standard controller. And I think that's the beauty of the Ryan.
To make the ultimate gaming mouse, it needs speed and stability. It needs to be precise and instinctive. It needs to be light but strong. It needs to be reliable and swift. It needs to last. It needs to be ready. It needs a name.